We go live?
We are alive. Supposed to wait. Hello. We're going to do another episode of Natural One, and we're going to demo the Elf Wizard today. And so that's going to give us an excellent opportunity to go over a couple different mechanics. We're also going to be looking at bat swarms. That's going to be fun. So I've been working on swarm mechanics, trying to create a creature that can, or because there's creature creation in the system. Trying to create a creature that basically can combine and make larger units or smaller units, just like kind of like a swarm would. So we have with us Paint Monkey Justin. He's going to uh, he's going to join us once I figure out how to operate all the other fun stuff. So he is going to be playing the. Oh, it's me. He's going to be playing the Elf Wizard. Here we go. I just recently painted this Elf Wizard up in my Mini Grinder Paints Live. I did the work on the face. I think it was episode 4.
So
Something like
much
that.
puckering.
Some, now we're going to experience a different kind of puckering. It's called
Yeah.
being swarmed.
Oh,
So Justin's back with us. We're going to be looking over his character sheet for this lovely, lovely lady. In case you missed it, here we go. Spin that around.
looking good.
So thank you.
I love that final product on that thing.
Right, yeah, it's I thought it'd be fun to do like red and white, and then with all these extra colors, like I think you mentioned it was sunset coloration.
Yeah.
It seemed like she could work well not just as a cleric miniature, but actually a fire mage. So, and
Mhm.
also, I mean, I think it's important for us to go over how spell mechanics works because there's a really neat mechanic in Natural One that allows you to combine your magic,
Wow.
different magics together. Don't act like you didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, which is cool. So let's take a look at the character sheet real quick.
Yeah.
Let's hold on here. Here we are, the Elf
There we
Wizard.
go.
So, um, what do we got to look up first? Well, you like to role play him out. So looking at the traits, he's neutral. He's
Oh yeah.
good with neutral tendencies.
Right.
He's rational,
Right.
studious, and inquisitive.
He's rich.
And he's elfish. He's elvish rich, right?
Elvish rich. Which means he's richer than everyone. Except maybe the dwarves.
Yeah. So as a beginning level wizard, it's good to point out here that you have 39 hit points. Don't waste them.
You know, actually is not that much less than what I had the cleric last game.
Right.
I think the
Yeah.
cleric was 40 something.
Yeah. He had 45, and that's because he had a Constitution of 15. You only have Constitution of 13, right? And dwarves get the bonus for their size. They get a size bonus for their hit points. So that's the only reason why he's in the same realm. And I think you guys have the dwarf war priest had similar stamina.
Yes.
But you're gonna probably burn through it even faster though.
Well, I mean, I've been playing with this is a couple. I play a couple times with you, and I know that stamina is a big thing. So, but
Yeah,
this I might be a little cavalier for today.
right.
I might
So you
future.
are this the archetype basically here is mage or fire mage. You're a tower wizard. So you're just strictly wizardly, for the most part. You're not very strong. Your forces and whatnot are based on your strength. You have a strength of 8. So
Very cerebral with my traits.
it's important to note that you have 0 DR,
Holy shit!
right, and a movement rate of 3. Okay, that's going to be important. That's going to
It's gonna
come
be
up
very
later. So here's your quick list of skills. Air and fire spells are this guy's specialty. and channeling. There's not going to be much to channel this time around, so we're not going to look at that. But channeling's real cool. So if people cast spells at you, you can take the power of that spell and channel it back into primary actions for your own spells. So it's like a reaction. It's a reaction that lets you. So somebody say somebody casts a level 2 something at you, you
Right.
channel it, and you take one level of it, and then you put one level into an AP for casting your own spells.
Now that channel is only used against magical spells, not like
Magical
a
stuff.
sword.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like
So
channel the sword back in your face.
right. Yeah. Then we have your main reaction. So here is going to be dodge, which is you have a roll of 11 in it. And the other thing is that when you take damage while spellcasting, you'll get interrupted unless you perform a concentrate check. Okay, so that can
Yeah.
happen. Dispel is a low roll, but it doesn't really matter. That's for actually dispelling magical effects, arcane effects. Teaching isn't going to come into play this time. Cantrips might actually. We can do some cantrips right in the beginning.
Right.
We'll just say that you had already done it.
Did you catch
Yeah,
me
but it's
warning?
it's crazy that it's just want to make sure that we are. I think we're good. We're good. Okay, so yeah, it's sorry about that, everybody. For some reason, my network doesn't like whatever I'm doing. I don't know. It seems to have a
Are
mind of
you
its own.
are you still live? Because I'm not showing you
I'm
live on
uh,
Discord.
yeah, I have to probably set up the screen share on that. Sorry about that. Good for pointing that out. There you go. Can you see it?
You know, monkeys do what monkeys do.
That's right. That's right. That's somebody's threw some poo in the wireless router or something.
So,
Jeez,
um,
monkeys. So I was getting
what?
ready to say how cool elves were because they actually get a creature a creature triad. They actually get the esoteric triad, which is for magical creatures, basically.
Hmm,
Bring that up. So here's the esoteric, and that's where you get that channel um,
yeah.
skill. And they also the other cool skills in there are innate. So you can basically create if you combine innate, it's a combo free action.
Right.
You can combine innate with any spell casting um, where the duration will be used with concentration or will be concentration. So if your duration is
Right.
concentration, you can combo innate with it, and then you don't have to concentrate, and then it's just on all the time. It's
That's
cost
awesome.
significant less stamina as well, right?
Right.
So
Right.
this is basically a way for you to turn into an animal, and then you are that animal for a longer period of time instead of a short time. Since
Right. Right.
a lot of the spells and effects in Natural One have a short duration, lasting spell effects come from putting them inside of items, enchanting, imbuing, that kind of stuff. Okay,
Is,
so
and if I'm not mistaken, I think one of the conversations we've had before is when it comes to duration seems like it's a very important thing when it comes to combining magic because the duration have to match, right?
right, yeah, right.
And that
No, they not the durations. The durations don't have to match. So
what
that's what's kind of
okay,
cool. You can take something that doesn't have a um it has an instant duration, but even in the wording, it'll state for every turn this effect, the effect deals this much damage or whatever. But it's only going to be effective for one turn for its own. But if you combine that effect with something that says say has a duration of 2 turns or 3 turns, then every turn that you know um, we're going to go over this. So
okay, sorry,
yeah,
yeah,
it's not as complicated as I just made it sound. It's very
all good, all good.
much simpler. It's much simpler. So he's got air spells and fire spells together um, currently, and then later on maybe he'll break into energy spells also. Uh,
Ooh,
yeah.
fancy boy.
So let's take a look at all this guy's triad. So when you build, so this character is not some typical like cookie cutter character that you get in another system. This is something that I created using the system. So the system is designed in a modular way where you can put together these different groups to create your class. So here you have 6 groups. So the elf wizard, this wizard demo has these 6 groups of skills: the esoteric group of skills, the evocation group of skills, wizardry, and then defense. That's where you get your dodge, and then cognitive. That's where you get concentrate, right? And analytics, and that's where you get
Analytics.
yeah, analytics, perv, pervy, and that's where you get the teaching. So and this is basically, and then those 6 things together really defines who this character is as far as their roles in the group or whatever.
Sure.
So
Can
that's this guy in a
I,
nutshell.
can I make a comment here for a second?
Sure, yeah.
So, when you say that today we're demoing the elf wizard, really, like, I think it's important to note that really, in so many words, just like you said, there is no classes. We're not. This is not a you know out of the book wizard. You just said like, what do I want to create?
Hmm.
I want to create a magic user, and then you kind of threw together all these triads with this idea in mind, and then that creates in your vision what this wizard is.
Right, yeah.
I could create a. You could give me an elf, and I would say, okay, create an elf magic user. I could do something completely different and still call him a
Completely
wizard.
different. Yeah,
But
completely different.
I could still call him a wizard. It's just the moniker of wizard or ranger or warrior or whatever class label you could ever associate to these characters. This is really what you want to call it, because at the end of the day, you're throwing together all these triads, choosing these skills, and choosing these feats. Then you look back on it and say, what did I create? And today I created
Right.
it. Well, it's like a wizard.
Then, it's also important to note that he does not have the candlelight cantrip. He has open and close and scribe.
Oh man. Okay.
So
Good to know.
there's
Good to know.
well, you have somebody write it down your actions. you
Oh,
constantly
that's
you're constantly
perfect.
you're constantly creating a journal.
I'm totally gonna do that. He seems so intellectual.
I don't know if it's possible if you can do, because it might actually require general actions to be doing that. You don't want to waste
But
general actions.
I gotta look this up. For my role player, I gotta look this up. I want to know if this guy's gonna be having a constant
So
dialogue with this
so it's
mystical
important
scribe.
it's important to note that maybe you didn't want to go have any defense. Maybe you wanted to go total magical defense. So instead of doing this, you picked up, I don't know, the abjuration. You picked up animancy also. And so then now you're a wizard cleric kind of situation,
Mhm.
right? You could have went that route if you really wanted. You could have skipped the cognitive, or actually better yet, you skipped the analytics and picked some other trade entirely. Or you could have picked instead of a trade, maybe you picked melee weapons, you know,
Right.
instead. And then now instead of analytics here, you'd have a combat. If there's any, or instead of analytics, uh, you picked another spell thing. I mean, you have options. You have tons and tons and tons of options with character creation in
Oh
this system. And so these demo characters, while they're kind of like min-maxed, right?
yeah.
Because I know the system, I'm pretty well equipped to doing that. I did all the attributes for all the demo characters as basically as if you rolled the average, and then I pick and chose where the points went. Now that's not normally how that works, but I just wanted to make the best, most iconic demo characters you could, that you could
Right.
play.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted, this is, at level 1, the best you can hope for this style of character, right?
So this
It's
is like
it's
do you use wolf? Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's also important to note that you do have a quarterstaff and a dagger, but
Unskilled.
you're unskilled in them, so it's going to require extra time to swing those, extra AP to
Hmm.
swing those, and it's going to require a double check because you're unskilled. But when
Damn.
yeah, so you'd have to do a double check with a precision of 9. Double check.
Can you scroll down for 1 second
Sure.
to the quick look? Yeah, the quick list.
Yeah.
So I think it's also important to note that, and I can't remember if you went over this now or if you went over this in the previous video, but when we look at these numbers like 10, 11, that's the number I have to roll under, not the
That's
roll
right.
I have
Yeah,
to roll
because we're at
above, right?
natural 1, you want to roll low.
And so when I look at these numbers, right, if I'm rolling on the D20, obviously 11 gets me at above 50% odds, right?
Right.
Um, so what I'm looking at is thinking, okay, fire spell, channel, dodge. Are my going to be my best abilities out of everything I have? What air spells being a close second? Because those are going to give you my at least 50-50 odds.
Right.
But then the one that sticks out to me, I think it's the most interesting. It's a slight pitfall. It's going to be concentrate at 8. So we're
Yeah.
going to have slightly less odds. It means
You're
now
going to have to
if I roll,
overload.
yeah, if I roll an exact 8, does that count towards me or against me? I forget.
We'll
I
look at
forget.
concentrate when the time comes here.
No, I meant
Unless you want
just
to look at some of these, you want to look at some of the core skills, we can look at that. Let's look at concentrate real quick.
hold on. No,
Actually,
I was asking a general question.
oh
If I roll the exact number, is that considered positive?
yeah, yeah. So you need to roll 8 or lower.
8 or lower. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. That's all I need to know.
and
All right.
and the defender, the contester always wins on a tie, basically.
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that concentrate's gonna be a sticky wicket.
Yeah. So and like let's go take a look at it real quick,
Okay.
just so you can see. You got to go down to lots of stuff. There's your analytics, civics, cognitive, feats. So you have concentrate right here. The action helps prevent the character from being interrupted or startled and deal with effects of concentration. A successful check will nullify any interruption or startle status effect. When the character is under the effects of concentration, they may roll a concentrate check once per turn as a free action. Success
They
allows character to perform actions and reserve AP normally for that turn. If the character receives a wound or critical wound while voluntarily concentrating, they must perform a concentrate save to avoid interruption and disruption of concentration. So basically,
so
right, if you are interrupted due to somebody attacking you due to damage, go up here. If you're interrupted due to taking damage, you're gonna have to roll a concentrate check with a 2-step penalty. So that
brutal.
means, yeah, so you're gonna not
6.
be rolling you're
6.
gonna be rolling a 6, right? If you're
Huh.
interrupted due to critical damage, it's a minus 4-step penalty. That's a minus 8. That's basically nothing. You can't, right?
So here's a question I have for you though.
Hmm.
So can you just succinctly tell me why I would want to use concentrate? Because it seems like it says I may do it, and it's a preemptive movement to prevent getting affected, and therefore not having to do the step penalties.
Right. So Well, don't get attacked. So you're gonna want to do this when you've stored up enough AP to cast a really big spell, and then something
Right.
comes up and attacks you. That AP will get all interrupted if you take damage.
Right.
It's really important for you to not take damage. So that's when you're going to use your dodge. So
Right.
let's go back over here. You're going to want to dodge, which also interrupts your spell casting,
Right.
unless you use aggressive evasion. Okay,
I don't. Oh, okay. Let's
right
see.
here. An aggressive evasion is going to cost you 3 stamina, and you'll be able to retain those
Right.
AP. So so that's the most important thing. So you're casting, somebody comes up and attacks you, you dodge. Um,
Then we do aggressive invasion.
you dodge, and you say you have 4 AP stored up or something like that, something ludicrous. You're going to want to use this, right?
Yeah. So that way
Keep
you
all your
don't.
AP, right? But say you fail the dodge and you take the damage anyways, then you're going to
Right.
need to perform a concentrate check, right, to keep all
Right.
the AP.
Right.
And you do that as
No,
a
but
free action.
I could voluntarily opt into concentrate at the beginning of my turn, just to kind of. It's like buying insurance.
So
Like if I don't.
the whole right, yeah. So the whole point of this talk about concentration is when you are casting when you're casting spells, magic, or powers, you are considered concentrating. So let's take a look at that real quick. So there's an actual status effect called concentrating, and it's just a means of like keeping track of all these different typical abilities, right, and stuff. Melee weapons, yada yada, fighting, two-handed, injuries, something, health and hardship. Down here somewhere. Injuries. Here we go. Found concentrating. The character is unable to perform general actions. They may reserve 1 AP to a primary action by spending 1 stamina that turn. Okay. So
Right.
you basically, while you're casting, you're considered concentrating, and this is how you cast. So you need to have a stamina every turn and basically every turn or every AP that you reserve to your casting action, your
Mhm.
spells go up in power, up in level, and they get more
Right.
and more powerful. They do more damage. Their effect is greater, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at real quick your feats. You have Channeler, which isn't going to come into play here. This basically allows you to absorb more AP from incoming spells. Signature Arcana, Air Spells Gust. This allows you to perform higher level uh, casting actions by spending stamina, basically. So you
Right.
spend, and actually, it's actually this is a typo. It's going to be 1 less. You'll spend 3, 5, or 7, depending on which one you choose. So you can either
Right.
reserve +1, +2, or +4 AP to a casting action before the roll, simply by spending stamina, right?
Yeah.
And
That,
increasing the check type. So
it's
you
not.
can get a +1 AP for a single check. That's just normal, and 3 stamina. For a double check, you can get +2 AP and spending 5 stamina, and if you do a triple check and spend 7, you can get +4 AP. So it gets harder and harder and harder to do. And at low levels, it's pretty expensive stamina wise. But as in higher levels, that that cost gets reduced. You can see here.
So it kind of solves that problem we were talking about with the cleric. Like, there was if I wanted the option to do a quick attack with this
Right.
guy, it's there. I just have to spend uh, 3. You said that stamina costs
Yeah.
were
Three,
miscalculated, so
three.
it'd
Yeah.
be 3, 5,
It's
or
just
7.
1
Yeah.
less because you're level 5 in evocation, which is where you got signature arcana from, and you get -1 stamina um, per per 4 levels.
Right.
Okay, so that should be 3, 5, and 7. Aggressive evasion, we just covered that. And the last one, another thing that addresses that issue is focused. So as a free action, you can perform a concentrate, right? Because once per turn, while concentrating voluntarily, you can perform a concentrate check
Right.
to move around freely or whatever. If you are successful, if you roll a double check and you're successful in that, you get to move around freely. You may reserve AP freely, right? All of
Right.
that nonsense. It doesn't cost you a stamina to reserve your AP. And on top of that, you'll get to reserve 1 extra AP to that primary action, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then, so that's, you'll be able to reserve 2 AP to that primary action for a cost of 2 stamina, basically.
Right.
And at level 8, it would only cost you 1 stamina. At level 16, it won't cost you any to do that. So that's significant, you know. If this guy was level 16, this thing that costs 8 right here would be reduced 4, 8, 12, 16, 4 to 4 stamina. So for 4 stamina, you get 4 AP at the end. You know what I mean?
On top of the one you're getting in return.
Right. Yeah.
On top of potentially focusing.
Right.
You know,
So
so at that point you're maxing out at 6, just
right.
just for existing that one turn,
Right.
which is insane.
So a couple things. You get a bonus to your surprise. You have strength checks are a 3-step penalty. Um, well, hold on, we got an elf, a gnome visiting us. Yes, Eddie, what you need? Okay, well, you guys need to go share, okay? Let him know that I said to share, okay? All right, thank you. All right, so I guess that was the dangers of doing this while they're awake.
I'm
Okay,
good.
so that's your guy. So let's go ahead and just get into it a
Kill some
little bit
shit.
here.
Kill
What
some
you
shit.
say?
Kill some shit.
Okay, I'll bring this down and bring this down. So let's go back. Take a look at our video capture device needs to reset because it totally went dead seas. One moment. Oh, did that work? Is it gonna work? Of course not. Ain't nothing easy. Here we are again. Oh, yes, Eddie. What you need? Okay. Um, one moment, please.
Oh yeah. Now it's the monkey show.
Not yet. I have to go take care of some other monkeys first, real quick. Okay. And then I also have to figure out. No. No. Why did it do that? Sorry. We had
You're
the
good, man.
critical melt. We had the critical meltdown earlier. Go. Of course. Just let me go ahead and more than what a resurrect that. And hold on here. I'm just gonna bring up this again. Would have been nice.
All right.
Yeah. All right. I'll be right back.
All right.
Alright, brief intermission. We are back. Still there? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Woohoo! Excellent. Okay, so yeah, so here we are. You're stuck. You're stuck.
I'm
You
definitely
were
stuck.
you got separated from your party. On the other side of this little stone thing, the way that you're facing is a collapsed cave-in that you can never go through again. You're just not. It would take you forever, and there's some rocks that you may never be able to move.
Move. Yeah.
Yeah, most likely. So, you really only have one option.
Forward.
That way. Go that way.
All
So,
right.
so you have a movement rate of 3. Now we're not in combat right now, so we can just go like, turn by
Lost.
turn. So you can move 3 spaces, for instance, in a single movement. You can move 2 movements in a turn, so that would be a total of 6. So you would give me 1, 2, 3 would get you right here, for instance. Already moving ahead.
I tell you what, though, before we continue moving, I'm gonna scribe upon the wall my name and my location in case anyone comes to look for me.
That's brilliant. So let's take a look
Yeah.
and see what Scribe actually does, and see if you can actually do that, because that would be
I
really neat.
actually I have it up here right ahead. Unless you want the big screen there.
Let's bring it up real quick. So let's click
It's
on the cantrips.
page 50.
Page 50. Thank you for bringing it up.
Oh man, I'm ready.
Okay, page 50 in the fantasy campaign guide. Okay, there's druids, monk. So these triads are basically the arcane trade triads. So they're kind of trades for arcane stuff. Okay, so we're looking at wizardry over here. It's witchery, close, but not quite. Wizardry. It's also important to note that wizardry works well with evocation. Witchery works well with necromancy. Sorcery works well with invocation. Priestly works well with animancy. So each school has a trade that's tied with it. You know,
Right.
your trade is wizardry, which has cantrips, and you have open and close and scribe. So first off, general action, spend 1 stamina. So you're gonna have to spend a stamina.
Oh. Well. Do I risk the stamina for role playing? I think so.
Yeah, better do that. Hey, you said you did it, so we're doing it.
Yeah, cool.
Cantrips are utility spells that take minimal effort to cast by a wizardly character after successful cantrips check. The effect lasts according to each specific cantrip. Character is considered casting while performing this action for all intents and purposes. When the character learns the skill, they may choose 2 specializations. So the 2 specializations that he has is open and closed. Basically, this opens or closes any doorway if unlocked and movable. Or other thing, walk or like a chest or something. Scribe.
Right.
Words or pictures appear in the caster's handwriting or drawing ability upon any surface. They remain there indefinitely, but may be easily washed away. What?
Well, since it's costing me a stamina, I'm gonna make this freaking count. I'm gonna put my name, which is
Birth certificate, your social security.
Oh yeah, I mean, Well, I mean, the Elvish are very, very, very liberal and progressive in that way. Um,
Just give it
you
all.
got. I mean, you got. I gotta apply for that Elvish Social Security. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and and scroll my name, which is gonna be Theodman Kiaxidor. Don't even worry about trying to pronounce that. Just call
Okay,
me Theo.
Theo. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Theo.
Theodman Kiaxidor.
Theodman.
And then I'm gonna put down the approximate date I believe I'm at
I'm
and the
gonna have
time I
you name
believe it to
all
be.
my NPC characters that I write for my adventures.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, I'm full of it. Um,
Oh, did we lose our? Oh no, we didn't.
and then I'm gonna leave a message for
Well,
that.
there's okay. So we're just gonna assume that there are walls on either. So if you see black of the table,
Yes,
there are
yeah.
walls on the side. Just assume there are walls and that there is standing room. I'll let you know if there's anywhere that you need to crouch necessarily. Okay. So, uh, well, there. So you're just gonna put something right there.
And then I'm gonna leave a message for that son of a bitch Demetrius who led me into this cave. It's like Demetrius, if I die, this is coming back on you.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to perform a roll. Your cantrip says what level?
Uh, let's put this back up out of the
What's your roll for
guide.
cantrips?
5. What? Oh man, I'm
Oh,
not gonna
man, yeah.
overload a goddamn message to Demetrius. Although I do hate Demetrius so much, I might just overload it. You know what? Let's overload it because I want to make
Okay,
sure Demetrius knows that he
so you're
did this to me.
spending a total of 3 stamina. We're rolling 2 dice. I'll roll it for you here.
To
I,
spite
I, I,
Demetrius.
I attempted to get a dice rolling camera set up, but my hold on here.
You know, there's a certain magic to the DM screen in terms of like the old school DM screen. It can protect the players. You can just tell me that it's a 5.
This thing, right? Yeah, I'll just tell you that it's a 5, so you can do it. This is my cheap Chinese thing. You know, you bend it, you can, but it's crap. It's already done. It's done.
Ancient Chinese secret.
So I'm gonna have to get something else to hold the second. I need a whole upgrade here, honestly. I'd love to do more of this stuff, but gosh darn it, that's expensive. All this audio visual stuff, and I'm using the one I got
Internet
basically.
people, give us money.
Give me if you want to give me money. You head over to my store at mgstudio.myshopify.com. You can download my busts. I got terrain for 3D printing there. This particular terrain is from my first Kickstarter that I'm sadly still fulfilling. The stuff right here that you're looking at is actually me testing out the terrain before I put it into a box and ship it out. Um, so that's going to be going out. But as I'm getting closer and closer to fulfillment, things are starting to pick back up. COVID kind of hit us and kind of pushed everything back, which kind of really sucks because I really want this out of my life. Need to move on so I can release more 3D printable terrain also. But
Yes.
at some point in time, when this is fully fulfilled, there will be some runs left in those molds, and I will want to burn them out. So if anybody's interested in this really
Hey,
interesting terrain,
monkey.
what's that?
Monkey wants one.
That's right. There
I
should be
was.
enough.
Oh, okay.
It might
Yes.
happen.
Tell me, did my spiteful message
Oh right,
to
yeah. We got
Demetrius fail?
whoa. We gotta roll it. Here we go.
Tell me.
I'm even giving you some good dice. These
Oh
aren't
yeah,
the crappy dice. Nope.
yeah, yeah.
And we got a 11 and a 15.
Oh, just my overwhelming eye rolling hate for Demetrius. Just I can't
Cost
conquer
you
that.
3 stamina.
Oh boy. Well, this is a good start.
You're really gonna need those.
I, I
I'm
like the
being a
role
little meta
play.
here. But so you don't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a little bit of meta. So you're gonna carry on.
Yes, I will.
Okay. So carrying on. You make your way. Let's see here. We got one, two, three. You're now up here, and you see there's like this
Let.
ledge here that you're gonna have to sort of climb up.
Uh-oh. Well, um, just
Hold on a second.
double check some stuff here on my character sheet. More or less just looking for if I have any rope, if I've got any fun stuff here. Um, no. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna do my best to climb the freehand climb it. I don't think I
You
can
are
get any more
unskilled in
free with it.
climbing, that's for sure, and you don't have great strength, which is the skill
Well,
used for climbing.
so let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can problem solve this a little better. Are you able to kind of rotate the camera more down to the eye level of the character? So trying to get a sense of what this facade looks like. Oh, perfect. That's perfect right there. Let's see. And I'm surrounded by walls on all sides, right?
Yeah, but there is
Okay,
a path upwards.
there is. Well, so I'm going to do my best. So there's that one that's at my 11 o'clock. That smaller one there.
Yeah, this little,
I guess.
but
I guess how
it's
it's
hard to tell, but
an overhang.
it's actually just a lip. So that lip right there is going to give you, I'm going to give you a +3 step bonus, because it looks like that's a good foothold.
Sure.
Still some climbing involved to get up there. So
Well, I think that's going to be the best path.
let's take a look at climbing real quick.
Sure.
Um, because why not? You know.
Good old the
Oh,
admin key story.
okay. So climb ding dong. So climbing is under athletics. Um, and that is athletics has climb here. So here's all the different triads for trade disciplines. So we're looking for athletics here. Has climbing. Oh, which is constitution based. Not bad.
Okay. Yeah, my
For you.
constitution's what, 13?
13, yeah. Jumping,
Yeah,
which is strength based, and swimming, which is also constitution based.
man,
Okay, so let's
I'm a
look
healthy
over.
mage.
Well, constitution directly gives you stamina, so you need stamina to be a good mage.
I like to believe that the admin also uses P90X. Maybe a Bowflex, something like that.
Right. Okay, so the character may perform this skill check once when attempting to climb as a general action movement when climbing. The character's movement rate is reduced by half, rounded down, so you're going to move at a rate of 1 climbing.
Right?
If failed, the character simply does not advance. If a climbing check is ever critically failed with a natural 20, then the character falls. This
Oh,
does not count
oh,
towards a number of actions permitted for this turn. Oh, neat. So, like, if you roll a natural 1, it's like a free action.
nice.
And then the other thing, under health and hardship, is more in depth about falling.
Well, no need to jinx it.
So there's afflictions, falling. Here we go. Whenever a character is put in a situation where they may fall, they may perform a free action to drop what they are holding to grab something nearby. To do so, they may either save with a dex or strength. If successful, they must then perform a climbing skill check to pull themselves to safety. And we have falling
Oh,
damage here. And we even have falling speed. So at some point, a character or object might find themselves plummeting at a great distance. Falling speed dictates how many space a character travels every second. Note that one turn is about 2 seconds. For the first 5 seconds, the object falling will do so at a variable rate. After 5 seconds, the object reaches terminal velocity and falls at a rate of 50 space per second, or 100 space per turn.
Jeez.
I thought it was
Try
important to
having
put that in there because it's going to come up at some point in time, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, especially if you end up doing a sci-fi campaign with ships and free fall or a big chasm or
yeah,
something, you know.
yeah. And it's, I mean, you know, that's for Earth gravity, but it's based. I actually used real like numbers here for that stuff and tried to
Approximate the
approximate
ratio.
it a little bit. Yeah, you can see after
Science.
it goes quick. It starts after 1 second. You can only because it's possible you might fall for 1 second, and that tells you how long you're going to be falling for. So if you're falling more than 5 space, it's going to take you, or I'm sorry, more than 20 spaces. It's going to take you more than a whole turn to fall.
I
You know.
think in your book here, you like for 6 seconds, just get rid of the number and just put a picture of Gandalf following the Balrog and the Moria down the as he's chasing his
There
sword
might
like that.
there might be some legal stuff that
Yeah,
I'd have to navigate for that to happen. Okay, so climbing's not that bad, and you have something like a 13 for your
yeah,
constitution. So I'm double
yeah.
checking a 13 with a 3-step bonus for having a ledge right there. Right,
16.
is going to get you a 16. You just need two. You got it. A 14 and a 4.
Man,
So you made it
I'm
by
so
4.
good climbing.
I'm sorry, you made the roll by 2 because you have to take the highest roll. And now that actually only gets you about halfway because this is more than one space up.
Sure.
But you are on your way. So another round of that, and you're
Yeah,
up.
let's do it.
And then that's it. Now you're up at the top. So you have a choice. Do you want to climb? And as you come up above, so let's say you just threw a torch up there or something.
Sure.
As you're coming up, you can see you can either get right here or right here.
Option number 2, please.
Option number 2. Okay, so you have made it to the top.
Oh man, I'm feeling
And
good. Still pissed off at
there in the
Demetrius though,
background.
but it's okay.
Oh,
Looking good.
okay, so you've made it up there. But as you get to the top, a rock comes loose and falls and crashes below your feet. And at first you're like, oh, whoo, I'm safe. But then you hear some chittering or something, some chirping from up ahead somewhere.
Full of a took.
What's that?
Full of a took. So.
Full of a tuck. That's right. And again, now I'm gonna get sued. You said tuck, and I'm screwed. I'm kidding.
All right. Um,
It's
oh boy.
different tuck.
Okay. So, just because I just want to do one more role playing thing here, just
Sure.
for fun here. If I wanted to get a general, so I hear this chittering, right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to get some sort of bearing on where this is coming from, perception maybe, or I'm assuming it's got to be as a double check in some
Okay, so
categories,
you
right?
want to try to spot the where the
Sense it,
chittering's coming
spot it,
from, right?
yeah,
Or detect it. Do some kind of
detect it,
detection.
yeah.
So that's considered a spot check. Okay.
Hmm.
It's just basically a special It's a perception check. So in my system, there is no. I'm just going to do an attribute perception check. I didn't want to do that because then, like, when you walk, if the whole group walks into a room and the DM or GM says, "Hey, I want you to do perception checks," everybody, somebody's bound to get it. Number one,
That
and the
is the fatal flaw of that question.
right, and then the person who is good at it, he always gets overshadowed. So I made
Right.
spot checks in my system to be skill based. So people who aren't equipped with it must perform double checks. They got to perform it unskilled. So, like your character.
It kind of is what you're basically saying. Like, it
Right.
prevents the unskilled randomly trumping the skill.
Right. Yeah. And I don't. I didn't want. I don't want that. I don't want people using their. I don't want GMs letting people use their attributes to perform skills. I wanted them to use the attributes to perform the skills. If that makes any sense.
And then
You know.
I don't want to speak on two sides of my mouth here either. But in this scenario with Theo here, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's like the parasympathetic response to hearing this, especially in a dark cave, is to pay attention to it and seek it out, or be on heightened alert, right?
Right.
So I
Yeah.
mean, so it's not like you can't role play it in the sense that he's not going to care. He's going to
Right.
care. It's just he's unskilled about
Right.
figuring it out. Yeah.
So your perception is an 11, right?
Right.
So to perform a
Right.
spot check as a general action, you will
Must declare.
you have to bust out a double 11 or under. And then let's read this real quick. Anytime a character is attempting to distinguish, search, or spot for something, they may perform a spot check. The character must declare what they are searching for before a skill check is performed. If successful, the character spots the object specified if it is presently within line of sight of them or from their front flank. Note that this is a GM action if the check is failed or if the object specified is not present. Then the character does not spot what they are looking for. The character may continue to search for the specified object for 1 hour before performing another spot check. This is if you're like searching for a secret door or something like that,
Right.
While
Right.
searching for the object, the GM may perform spot checks with a step penalty for any other concealed or intentionally obscured objects in the search area. If any of them are successful, then they are revealed to the character after successful failed spot check. Okay, so none of that stuff really matters. You're basically going to do a spot check just to sort of get an idea of the direction that these things are coming from.
Sure.
Okay, so with the caves, it's really difficult to hear
The reverberation.
because it's almost as if these things are echoing off the walls a little bit. So it's a double check,
Uh-huh.
but I'm also going to give you a 2-step penalty. So
And
you're
and,
looking
and
at
put,
you need nines or under. Do you want to overload or just straight up?
I'm going to do it straight up, but just to kind of clarify, that two set penalty is the DM decision, right? Which I think is
Yeah,
perfectly reasonable.
that's the whole reason for those penalty steps is
Yes.
DM should use them to augment the rules or augment the skill rolls, right?
Absolutely.
To add
Yeah.
different elements to sort of I don't want.
Well,
Oftentimes, what happens with people with GMs and rules is they don't like the way a certain thing is worded, or they don't like the way it's done, so they change the rules. I want less change in the rules, and I want more people just saying, okay, well, I'm just going to throw in extra step penalties, or I want the players to argue for step bonuses too, right?
Right.
So, and I want that to be the gauge for where the roll is. So either because I think anybody should be able to come up with an idea and then perform the role, and everything should go along with it. But the GM, or at the end of the day, you're going to have these step penalties and step bonuses to sort of augment that stuff, and sort of be the mediator between it all, between the role. So
Sure. Makes perfect sense.
yeah, thank you. Glad it makes sense. So you failed the check with a 4 and a 12. Unfortunately, the 12 kind of
Yeah.
wanted to make
Ruined it.
without the step.
Right.
The chirps are just echoing off the walls, basically. So, is there anything else that you would like to do? And that basically took you one half of your
Well,
turn.
no. Well, I'll tell you what. Are you able to rotate the camera a little bit more to show me what's? Because
So
well,
it's hard to tell. There's like this wall right here. You're not going to be able to see that way, right? So you can really only just see And it's kind of dark up ahead too, so you really can only see this. There's some rocky terrain ahead of you.
Now, and I guess that's something to ask about is what is my visibility situation like?
We're gonna assume that you have just to make things easy here on that respect. With respect to that, we're gonna assume you have like a little magical thing that provides a light
Okay,
source around you. Okay. Otherwise, because it's mainly because you're alone, we're just really just testing out the character, and I don't want to bring visibility in quite. There are rules
I
for that, obviously, but we're gonna say let's take a look. Let's just we'll say that it's got a visibility of 3 spaces, and what that means is you can see sunlit up to three and sunlit visibility up to 3 spaces, and then every 3 spaces after that, the visibility range is reduced, and that's
right,
how visibility works. So you get like visibilities in terms of the sunlit range, right? So with
right,
a light source could be 1 space or 10 spaces. But then say it's 10 spaces, then the next after sunlit is well lit or whatever,
yeah,
or shaded. I'm sorry. Thing. So for 10 spaces, it'll look like it's sunlit or well lit, and then for 10 spaces after that, it'll look like it's shaded, and then on and on and on it goes, less and less and less,
right,
and it's always by the same number of space, just to make it easy. So you're
right.
able to see up to this point, uh, well, and this guy right here is shaded, and this stuff back here you can barely see.
So let's see. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna proceed forward, but role playing it kind of cautiously.
Okay, so you're just you're gonna take another step forward, or are you gonna get up to
Yeah, that sounds about right.
here? Okay. When you get up to this point, the room kind of opens up to you,
Mhm.
and from over in that direction, there's some
Oh,
they're actually
uh,
there. Looks like they're nesting or something up there.
are they like hanging upside down or something?
No, they're definitely flying. They're flying out.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and start combat mutually, and it's not
All right.
or aggressively. So
Sure.
whatever items you're holding in your hands, whatever items you're holding in your hands are going to be ready. You're not
Okay.
holding anything because you're a spellcaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's unfortunate with spellcasting. Spellcasting has to start from ground zero basically. All right.
Yeah.
So you're going to turn to face over there.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
So
Uh,
now, go ahead.
it's just one swarm unit, so uh, it doesn't seem like
We
it's too
roll.
much of a threat, but they've definitely noticed you. They're big. So
We're,
let me bring up. Let me read you their description.
okay.
I call these things chiraptors. Now, this is all metagaming here.
Sure.
Chiraptors are the piranha of the air. They are very much bat-like in their appearance and behavior. However, their fur is a rich violet, and their skin is a rusty orange. They are unforgiving and often attack the weakest of opponents first. In cave systems, which chiraptors inhabit, swarms can range from 1d6 plus 1 to 3d6 plus 3 swarm units. They are
Wow.
attracted to any noise uncharacteristic to their surroundings, and their territory is usually littered with the polished bones and effects as leftovers.
Oh,
They are the piranha.
of
They're,
the air.
yeah, they are antagonistic, creepy, and merciless.
Jeez. Okay.
They like to bite.
Well, no kidding. Sounds good. So let's roll initiative and let's
See what
mark
happens.
these bofos.
Let's see what happens. All right. So we'll make yours a blue dice, mine's a gold dice. Roll an initiative.
Right?
You get a 12, and they get a 13.
God
So
damn it.
no, that's good. You want to roll low. So everything
Oh,
rolls
oh,
low, and except for damage, you want to roll low,
got it. Okay.
right? So
All right. I'll go first.
you beat it by one. So you are going to go first. I'm assuming you're going to start casting
Yes. So I'll tell you what. Just to
or
test out
moving
these
first,
mechanics.
because once you start casting, you're not going to be able to move.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my first action point, and then I'm gonna go ahead and spend an additional 3 on my signature arcana to get me up to another action point,
You have to
and then
perform to use signature arcana. You have to perform the check.
got yes. Well, I have to perform it. Oh, I have to perform. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm going to do. So I to be clear, I'm going to be reserving an AP
So
towards
casting
Gust.
action, as it
Yes,
so you have to claim which casting action you're going to be reserving an AP to. So are you going to
right,
do it for what? Basically, what spell are you casting? Because you can't switch halfway, right?
right. No, I said earlier I'm with Gust.
Gust,
Um, yep,
or you
Gust.
can say that you're going to do combined.
Well, I'm going to just start with Gust for now. Keep it simple.
Okay,
I'm
you
going
do
to
know
do
that.
Gust.
Your two sort of most offensive spells are Gust and Firebolt. But Gust deals no damage, and only thing it'll do is it basically makes it harder for them to perform actions while within
Yeah.
the range of it.
Well then, okay. I guess let's go ahead and do reserve AP towards Gust, signature Arcana, 3 stamina for an additional AP towards Gust. Then I'm going to combine it with Firebolt.
Okay, so just to be specific in how this works, first you have to okay, so we're gonna do you're gonna start off right off the rip combining. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna 1 second here. So let's bring this up. Yeah, fantasy guide, fantasy guide. So you are going to combine some magic, some arcane effects together.
Mhm.
And characteristics, casting actions, arcane combos. Okay. Uh, so when casting Arcana, the caster can choose to take the arcane characteristics of multiple Arcana from the same arcane discipline and merge them together into a joint and singular effect. This casting action is considered an arcane combo. To do this, the target specified by the coverage of the combined Arcana must be within the range of all Arcana being combined. Furthermore, all arcane combos must be of a similar casting action. For example, a primary casting action may never be combined with an arcane reaction. When performing an arcane combo, it is considered a singular action as any combo, and as such may only require one action. So the caster begins casting action normally, but declares what arcana they are combining while casting. They are considered to be casting both arcana simultaneously as one singular casting action. When the casting action is checked, each corresponding casting skill is checked together as any combo. This may result in the same casting action skill being checked multiple times if a combined arcane effects hail from the same school. Okay, so you're going to be doing a primary casting action. The casting level for both arcana may be independent of one another, but a minimum of 1 AP per combined arcana must be reserved to the casting action before rolling. The caster may then roll a combo with each casting skill used. The caster may then choose to distribute the casting level however they wish between the combined arcana after successful combo. caster also decides which arcana is dominant arcane effect, and thus the support and arcane effects as well. An arcane combo by primary casting action requires the material components from all combined arcana. At least all but one of the combined arcana must be committed to memory. So in this case, Gust is committed to memory. You're good on that, and actually so is Firebolt too.
Right.
So how this works then is in the beginning of the turn, on the beginning of your turn, you are declaring you're going to do a combined arcane casting action, right? With
Right.
Gust and I'm guessing Firebolt.
Correct.
You do
Correct.
not need to tell me which one is dominant at this point in time. It's not required according to
Okay.
the rules. Okay. But that's just if somebody is going to do some kind of spell recognition to figure out what you're casting, then or arcane lore, then they would be told that information, right? And they wouldn't be told which one's dominant, so they don't know exactly what you're going to do with it. But they
Right.
might, they have a chance to understand what's going on. So, you have basically you're reserving 1 AP to that casting action, and then you would like to do the signature arcana and check the action as well.
Yes.
Okay.
To basically increase the AP.
Okay, so you're gonna have to roll 2 dice here and make both of them. You're gonna have to roll a 10 for your air spell and an 11 for your fire spell, right? So you need a 10 and 11 for this to go off.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to cost you a total of 4 stamina. 1 for starting the casting action. You're also considered concentrating right now, and then 3 more for the feat, the signature arcana feat. Okay.
All right. Let's see what happens.
All right. So are you just going to do it straight up?
Straight up.
All right. We got a 6 and a 2.
So both pass.
What's that?
Both pass.
Both pass. So now you're gonna attribute the 2 to the fire, or the 6 to the. It's just like a combo, right?
Yeah.
Or the 6 to the air, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It might matter if there's. It might matter if there are saves involved, because there's saves for those. So if there's a save involved for Gust, then you might want. You said you're
Right.
gonna do Gust as the dominant arcana.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at Gust real quick. There's a lot to Natural One. I put a lot of. There's a lot, right?
Oh, yeah.
So much to go over, just like any kind of RPG. But it's important to note that with your character, you only need to be familiar with a small subset of what's in these books. So try not to get too overwhelmed. So we're just looking past the opaque spells here. I mean, to the general viewer. Speaking of which, hello to anybody who's happened to be watching. I didn't post this stream anywhere. I wanted to see what kind of viewers we're going to get directly from YouTube. Just want to say hi to you guys and thanks for watching, and being semi-interested in this. If you're really interested, you can head over to my store. There's a link in the description, and download the beta PDFs of Natural One for totally 100% free. And if you'd like to join us for some demos, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you and have you on. Especially if you're not too weird. I mean,
more than merrier.
More weird than we are, so you got some room.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so. Alright, so I was looking at this. Stay on target. Stay on target.
Okay.
And. No, we're too close! We are too close. It's right there. It's so close. Concussor, fly, gale force. Oh, there's gust. Is over right there. Can you see it on the screen? Yes. Okay. So you're going to need to perform this spell. You're going to, as a material component, you're going to need a seedling, which floats in the air and is blown from the hand. You're going to need also the material components from the firebolt too. Okay, so you're going to be casting this thing. What does this thing do? So as a dominant arcana, it's only going to be level 1, right? So at first level, its duration is going to be 2 turns, 1 plus 1 turn per casting level. So it's casting level 1. It's a total of 2 turns. It's going to be active. Okay. The coverage is going to be a cone of length 1 plus 1 per space per casting level. So it's going to be a cone of length 2. So it's going to be your 2 squares in front of you. Okay.
Right.
And it emanates from the caster's hand. So that's the gust effect. And it's going to be doing its effect is all actions and contests performed in the coverage receive a -2 step penalty, and then -1 more for per 4 casting levels for the duration of the effect. Projectiles shot through gust receive the same step penalty. The caster may dispel this effect at any time with free action. Okay, so that's the main effect of gust. Now let's take a look at firebolt, because you've combined firebolt with gust. And firebolt's a subordinate effect. So here's firebolt. Firebolt's simple, so it's also going to require a bit of tar to cast a spell, which you have. Material components, you don't have to spend general actions to draw them. It's all part of the same casting action, basically. It's all rolling.
Right.
So, right. So the range of both the firebolt and gust agree. They're both within the same. Everything's within the same range, so everything agrees there. So these things can be combined. Now, if this was dominant, the duration would be instant. The coverage would be a recipient. So in this case, maybe the bats, right, which are clearly within your level, your range, and the contest would be a reaction, right?
Right.
So in this case, none of that matters. The effect for each turn of the duration of this effect, any recipient in the coverage receives 1d6 fire damage plus 1d6 more per 2 casting points. So, at first level, this will do 1d6 fire damage. Okay? And how combining magic works is we're going to take this effect and add it to Gust. So now, your new spell effect is going to be it's going to be very similar to, say, like Burning Hands from old D&D days, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at this level, it's basically going to go out 2 spaces, and then everything within those 2 spaces is going to receive 1d6 fire damage for each turn that they're in the duration, and they're going to receive a -2 step penalty for to react to that damage.
Right.
And that's only if they're within that, so you cast it and they're within range immediately. Because you can cast and have fire floating out in your hands, and then if they walk directly in it, that's not reacting. They're going to take the damage, right?
Right.
There's just there's no way around that.
Right.
So, okay. So now you've succeeded. So you're probably going to want to put, I guess, the 2 in with the firebolt, and the 6 with the gust.
Yes, please.
Okay. And so now there's this fan of flame is shooting from your fingers, basically, and it's blowing hot, right, in the general direction of this guy. Okay, and
Nuke him.
and
Microwave.
you can actually move right now. That was just your first action.
Well, so that okay. Um, am I able to? Are
Get
you
up
able
to
to
him.
kind of?
If you can get to here, that would be 1, 2. You can get over there.
All right, let's do it.
You gonna get up there and just flame a ding dong up there?
Flamethrower.
Just within range. Uh, he is going to try as you moving up to him with that thing on, flamethrower
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
That's an interesting thing. Put it on and then start running around and flaming people.
yeah.
It's like a
They
flamethrower.
they call me the flame.
All right, you flamer. Let's go. Okay, so let's see here. So he's going to get an option to react to that because you're running up to him with it. Okay,
Sure.
but the reaction. I mean, you made that roll by the fire roll is 11, so you made it by 9.
Yeah.
9. So he's going to.
Take
So let's take
that.
a look at it. Let's take a look at it. Their character sheet real quick
Take that, cheap piranhas.
because I didn't actually. I should have. I have an issue in my printer too. Something funny is with my network. I can't. There. Oh yeah, they got. Oh, this is interesting. They don't have. All they have for their reaction is divine, and this is a singular swarm unit, so he cannot react either.
There you go.
You run up and flaming them. They're gonna take
Oh man,
D6 right off the rip.
I'm renowned for my flaming.
3. Nope. So they just took. You just dealt 5 damage to them. I rolled your damage. So that was your first round. Okay. So
Wait, I missed it. How much damage did I do?
you did 5 damage,
All that for 5 damage?
but you're gonna be able to do that again next turn.
Oh, right, because it lasts 2 turns. Got
Right,
it.
the last 2 turns. I mean, if there were more of them, that would have been pretty good. But there's just one little cute little swarm unit up there. So he does not like that fire, and he doesn't want to come down directly towards you. So he's going to go ahead and move out of it. He's got a movement rate of 4. So he's going to move up here. 1,
Damn.
2, 3, 4.
He went around.
And they're pretty stupid, so they're going to move up on you with the
Oh,
second
okay.
action.
They kind of swarm around me.
Yeah. And then also, I'm going to do this little fun thing where, let's see, what did that thing say exactly?
I
We're
divide.
gonna roll this out and see what happens. How many of these things you're gonna have to go up against? Can range from 1d6 plus 1 to 3d6 plus 3 swarm units. Okay, so let's go somewhere in the middle,
Wow.
right? I just want to see. Uh, okay, that shouldn't be too bad. So at this point in time, I'm gonna roll a d6 every turn to see how many pop out. I'm sorry, a d3. So at this point in time, 2 more appear. This is a larger swarm unit. This is 2 swarm units.
Wait,
They're
switch
coming
it
out.
back. Switch it back.
Hold on. Yep. So it's this larger swarm unit. Let me see if I can get a better. No, maybe.
I can see it.
Well, I don't know. I guess that was better, wasn't it? There we go. Paint and light. Okay. So he shows up also. So that was one movement. Uh, you're still flaming in that area though. He doesn't want to go through the flames. So he comes out of here decides to not go that way, and he's going to do a movement to flutter around through here. So this is the second movement. So we're going to go one, excuse me, one, two, three, four. I think at this point in time, you're going to spend your one free thing to turn around.
Oh, damn right.
Okay, so this is not going to incur any damage until your turn, just so you know. Free.
I am sure.
Okay. Uh, this is okay. So now on that's their turn. Your turn. So on every turn, just in case you're just now catching us, every turn a character or a creature or anything in Natural One can only perform two actions. So they both just performed uh, both their actions just to move into position. Okay. There are two swarm units here. There's one swarm unit here. Basically, how swarms work, and they're really kind of interesting. So let's take a moment and just look at swarms real quick. This is a demo. Normally, if you're playing a game, it's not going to take as much time, but I think it's important to go over this kind of stuff because it's really, and I mean, it's important for you to understand how the swarm mechanics works. You don't want these things to group up because they get awfully, awfully dangerous at that point in time. And the reason is because uh, while they're small and they do small damage, relatively speaking, um, they can do a lot in one space. So
Right.
first off, they he any swarm units that's by itself cannot perform its reaction, which is divide. And basically, what divide is kind of like a special dodge that just separates the swarm units. So since
Yeah.
there's only one swarm unit, they cannot divide unless there's more than one.
Right.
But some of the characteristics of swarms, so a group of tiny creatures which may be represented as a single unit are called swarms. Each unit of a swarm is never greater than size 1, no matter how many members it contains. As a swarm unit loses hit points, its members should be perceived as being eliminated.
Right.
A swarm unit may occupy the same space as another similar swarm unit. No more than 4 swarm units currently. I might make it only 3 and then make a feat for swarms that allows them to go up. No more than 4 swarm units may occupy the same space. This essentially creates a larger, more dangerous swarm, which then acts as a singular creature. As hit points are
Right.
lost, the number of swarm units that occupy the same space may be reduced. This happens when the number of hit points lost is equal to that of the swarm unit or any remainder of the hit points of that swarm unit. Uh,
Right.
a swarm unit may perform a free or general action in tandem with any fellow swarm units as if they were the same creature. They may do this so long as they are adjacent or occupy the same space. This allows the player controlling the swarm to move multiple units in unison and perform other functions with a single or fewer checks. When performing actions as a swarm, the resulting effect may be considered to be an area of effect. Um, when a swarm unit reserves AP to primary actions, they are reserved together as a pool with any fellow swarm units occupying the same space. These AP pools are simply a way to keep track of the number of swarm units which occupy the same space. If a swarm unit is eliminated, remove 1 AP from the pool. Each AP in the pool may then be used independently to check a size 1 primary action every turn. So basically, um, how these things work, and you can't see the bottom, just says a swarm's move and other stats may be based on any creature type that is characteristic to the swarm, i.e. rats scurry and climb, a murder flies, and a school of piranha swims. Area of effect damage always affects swarm units independently. This means that a swarm is very susceptible to area of effect damage. Okay,
Right.
so so that's important for you also. Um, And all the swarms is my way of also kind of making slimes. I want to, so later down we're going to test some slimes and stuff, and also stuff like will o' the wisps can be a swarm. It can't. It's not just rats and bats, right? There's other things that can
Right.
be represented as a swarm per se. So yeah, all right.
Awesome.
So um, yeah, I thought it was important just to sort of check that out real quick. So that's kind of what you're dealing with. Basically, while these things are next to each other, adjacent to each other, or sharing the same space, I can move them all as a single unit,
Mm,
right? And just that just makes my life easier, you know,
right.
as a GM, because swarms can get big and unwieldy. Um, I guess we're gonna find out. Maybe maybe we'll find out.
All right.
Okay. So on your turn, these two guys are up your.
Up my crawl.
Yeah, they're in your they're in your they're in your business right now.
They're in the meat locker.
Yeah, hold on here. Oh goodness. One second. It's in the fridge. You have to pull it out of the fridge. Okay. Sorry. So it's your turn. You got two actions. You're not casting anything currently. Do you want to
I thought
cast something?
I thought my duration was 2 turns.
Oh, that's right. It's on. So yeah, it's on. If you want to just point that thing in this general direction, I'll let you roll the fire spells. Your a fire spells check as a general action to point
Okay.
that thing in his direction.
If at all possible, I don't know if my character can discern any of the bats that he already hit. In terms of the new ones
This
coming at him.
this one's been hit, and this one is a size. So I actually took. Oh, this one was a size 2 also. Yeah. This one's size 1, so this guy's smaller than this guy. I actually took. These are Reaper bat swarms. It's a singular unit that I actually carved up. So here's a size. Here's a size 3 or 4 swarm, right?
So it's a
And
different.
then a size 2 gets smaller, and then the size 1 is the smallest. So I cut this guy up right about in the middle somewhere. You can see where I cut him, basically in the middle, to create
Yeah.
2 swarms. And so I bought like 9 of these things, and then yeah, I'm
So
sure I'm certifiable.
yeah, I think it's cool.
Huh.
I'm gonna take the rest of my spell that I'm casting. I want to try and
You've
finish
already
off.
casted it. You're not casting right now, and so
Wait,
you're not spending any stamina either. It costs you a general action to point that thing at the doubles. I mean, you have options here. Do you want to point it at
I'm pointing at the one I've already done damage to.
Okay, so just so you know, the from the rules, first off, as a you'll be able to do this as a general action. So you can do it as general action here. That was your first one, and here's your second general action, right?
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
uh, basically, there's 2 swarm units in this guy, right? Each unit will take damage. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So you're basically going to be dealing almost double damage to that guy, basically, in a sense.
Let's do it.
Uh-oh. I don't know who that is, but somebody's calling me.
Uh-oh.
It's a local number. I'm gonna have to call that back later.
Probably the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien asking for royalties.
They're calling to give me a new camera. I can't audio AV stuff.
Honestly, it's just because of
It's the AV
My
Publishers
Gandalf
Clearinghouse,
references.
and I just didn't answer the call. They sigh. Someday I'll grow up and I'll have really awesome stuff to share with you guys.
Oh,
Someday
I
we'll
think
see. So okay, so you're gonna go after the ones you damaged already. Just with the
correct.
general action, I'm gonna roll fire spells with a general action just to, point your fan in that direction. Okay. And you missed it by one, so they can't react anyways because there's only one unit.
Right. They
So
can't divide.
they're gonna take the damage. It does just because you missed it doesn't mean what I was gonna do basically in this situation is give them a bonus based on how bad you missed, right?
Got it.
Right. So they would have got a +1 since you missed it by one. They would have got a +1 bonus to the reaction. So you do 5 more damage, and that swarm is eliminated.
Wow, nice.
Okay. And as your second general action, you're fanning this guy.
Yes, please.
You roll an 18, so you miss it by 7. So they're going to +7 to their divide. Hold on 1 second. Okay, you're going to have to get something else, okay? Okay, you're going to have to get something else, okay? There's leftover chicken in the fridge for tacos. Tell Ethan. Or applesauce, or corn dog. There's no more mac and cheese left. Real world problems here.
I'll take some of that corn dog.
Corn dog. Corn dog it up. I mean, it's the easiest. I told his big brother to watch him, and so he's trying to give him bread and butter.
Oh, jeez.
But he asked for it also. That's what he wants. He wants some. He loves his bread and butter.
Very,
He loves his
very, very,
carbs.
very French. Very French.
Yeah. So so that first swarm's done. So the second swarm, you're like wildly fanning towards these things, just trying to get them. And you missed the mark with this one. So he's going to get a +7 to his divide roll, which
Oh, God.
is let's bring that up real quick. His divide is it's not written on this sheet. Super smart. It's up here. Is a 13. So he basically
Yeah, he can't fail.
he can't or 20. He's got to roll a 20 to fail.
Well, but if you roll a 20, would you, as a DM,
It would
would you
be a
consider
fail. Yeah, it's
So,
automatic fail.
at the very, I would say at least roll it to see if he could.
I did. He rolled an
Oh,
18 and succeeded. So
yeah.
this so you fan it over there, and this swarm splits into two smaller swarms.
Oh, boy.
They divide. That's
Now,
that
I mean,
that's the
that,
point
that,
of
so, now, I mean, in the that's not the worst case scenario because it seems like the worst case scenario is having multiple big swarms stacked on top of each other.
yeah, because
Whereas
basically
having
you're only going to get one attack from this guy and one attack from this guy, but you could get two attacks from the same space. And
wait,
when you're getting surrounded by these things, just imagine being surrounded by like 8, 9, 10 attacks. It
yes,
just
yeah,
gets absurd.
that's brutal.
Yeah, could get brutal. Could get brutal. Okay, so but you did get them to divide, so that's somewhat advantageous, but not necessarily for you because I mean it would have been nice if you could damage both of those guys.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I'll
Also,
take this.
just you know, if you ever want to overload those general actions like that, you can overload anything.
Oh, oh, okay, yeah. You're right. I need to remember that you can overload anything.
Literally anything. Not damage. You can't overload damage dice. I guess I should allow it because you know.
Wow. That goes back to the other rolling if you want to do it that way.
Right, yeah.
But
That'd be cool.
different conversation.
Honestly, that's not a bad co. If you ever want to overload your damage dice, I might roll. I might actually throw that in there. That's pretty awesome. 2 stamina to overload your damage dice is. I mean, people would pay it. You know, it's a good. It's a
Yeah,
good. It's good value. I mean, imagine rolling 2d6 or normally, say you did a level 2 firebolt, and you roll 2d6 for that, right? But you
Right.
spend 2 stamina to roll 4d6, and then you omit 2 of the rolls. You know, that could be significant.
That could be very significant.
You
Could be
know, I don't know.
dangerous.
That's something to consider. You know what that would be? That would be a good feat.
That would be a very good feat.
That'd be a
Then maybe
great
not
feat.
make it standard across the board, but yeah, make
Right,
it selectable.
right, yeah. So I don't like adding a bunch of small little rules to the game unless I add them in the form of a feat or a skill, right?
Right.
So that's where you
So
get
that way
like the system is
people can.
very simple as far as the rules go, but as far as breaking the rules go, it's a mountain of information.
Well, it allows people to pick and choose the conditions of which they want to play.
Right, yeah. Right, right. So, okay, so these guys have split. That was your second action. It's now their turn. They are going to. Well, he's out of range, so he's got to have to move first, and he is going to. He's going to fly straight through through you. Try to flank. So let's take a look at flank real quick. Uh, well, first off, his roll is a 12. He's got a 12 in flank. So let's take a look at what flank does. Not that far. Flank is in the physical disciplines under footworks. No. There we go. Flank. The character may perform the skill check once when performing a general action movement. If successful, the character may move through any occupied space during that movement. The character may not end any such movement in an occupied space. A combatant who has been flanked by this skill must spend 2 stamina to turn their facing. So the whole point of flank is we're going to make you spend stamina just to turn around and defend yourself.
Right.
So he's going to roll that. He's got a 12. He's just going to roll it straight up. Misses it. So he doesn't manage to flank you, and his movement stops. Instead of going
Okay.
through you, he can't go. He cannot flank you. So that ends his movement right there. Okay. This guy's right up on you anyways, and he can attack you because he's in that space. Okay, so they're still separated at this point in time. Uh, so, but they both have an action to perform. Each of them can perform an attack, and they will. So I have 2 swarms here. Okay, so the first attack is successful by, what's their attack? And again, their attack is a bite attack. There. Of course, I didn't write them down either. Another written down, so we're just looking over here. Under martial weapons is a 12. Okay, he makes that first one by 1. And so yeah, you can dodge right now if you make your
My
dodge roll by
dodge,
1.
I believe I dodged a 10, so that means I would have to roll a 9 or better, correct?
Right.
But it's free, right? So I'm
Yeah,
going to
you
go
have
ahead and
2
try.
reactions in a turn, just like you have 2 actions in a turn. You have 2 reactions in a turn at a
Yeah,
base
and
level.
I think that's important to remember, because and I don't want to break up the flow of action here, but I think it's important to note that so much of your system involves gambling stamina, and spending stamina,
Right.
that it's important to remember that of the free stuff that you have, including movement and reactions, you want to definitely take them as much as you can. So
Right,
absolutely,
yeah.
I'm going
In
to
this
take it.
situation, there's 2 things attacking you and you have 2 reactions. So, if there's 5 things attacking you and somebody comes up and rolls a 9, maybe you don't want to react against that one. You want to react against the one where they only made it by 1 or 2 to increase your
Right.
chances. Because at
Yes,
the end of the day, it's
exactly.
all about gambling. It's all about it's a numbers game.
So I'm gonna go ahead and react, but I'm gonna hang back and I'm gonna just let it ride. No overload.
No overload. Straight up. You need a
Robots.
10 or a 9. You need a 10 or a 9. Hello?
Yes.
10 or a 9. What do you need?
I need. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. I thought you needed me to check
Sorry.
that for you. No, that's fine.
No, it's okay. Here, I'm going to bring it up too, just because.
It looks like I need a 10. A 10 actually.
Right, yeah. So
It's
you're
not.
having you have a dodge of an 11. They made their roll
Oh
by
yeah.
1, so you have to make your roll by 1, so you're going to make a 10. I rolled a
50
9, so
50
you made
shot.
your roll by 2, and it is successful. Part
Yeah.
of dodge, there's three major reactions in the defense triad. Dodge is one of them. And to dodge, you're going to have to remove all your AP. You interrupt your actions. In this situation, you don't have any AP reserved to anything, so that doesn't matter. The other thing is when you dodge, you have to physically be able to move to an adjacent space. Okay,
Right.
so now you're
Now.
right here.
Now. Well, hold on. Just to back up for a second because I just
Yeah,
want to go over. Make sure I'm gonna. Can you put me back to where it was?
yeah.
So because you kind of went over that stuff very very
You
quickly.
can't. Right, yeah.
Maybe
So you can't. You're not going to be able to dodge up here without a dex check or
got it.
tumbling.
Okay, thank you. That was my first question, and then my second question was, I just kind of got lucky at the fact that I wasn't in the middle of a spell or an attack or something that would basically reset my
A little
action
bit,
point.
yeah. So you kind of want to time out your stuff to where you're not going to have to use that evasive. You know what I mean? Try
Right.
to get
I
your
mean, I think
spells.
I.
Try to cast your spells in a short period of time. That way,
Right.
you're not casting when it's their turn to attack you.
Right. So,
You know what I mean?
I'm just gonna regurgitate a couple of lessons I've learned so far about this character is that, he can hit really hard. He's primarily you want to be combining these spells. And it almost seems like it's very important unless you have an operational advantage in terms of range or distance, to try and get these attacks off within one turn, so that
You
way you
can't.
can then so that way you can dodge. I mean, if you have the space of so many feet to work with, where you can kind of bide at a time, but really, I'm going to sit here and just take damage, risk my concentrate, risk and dodge, that
Right.
resets my turn. Basically, I can accidentally fall into this loop of never being able to pull off an attack.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was almost happening in the last session or the last demo that we did. That was kind of happening to your war priest a little bit. But
Right, right,
it was harder for him to operate because he didn't have the signature arcana yet, right?
right,
It
right.
the difference between the dwarf and the elf in that respect is he chose armored casting for a feat, whereas they chose signature arcana, and that's the difference between the characters. Now the dwarf
Right,
has DR, you don't,
right,
because
right.
DR gets in the way of a casting action. For each DR,
Yeah,
you get a step penalty.
right. And really, I mean, if you want to think about in classic role playing or game terms, like he's a softie, he's a clothy, right?
Yeah,
He's gonna hit like an ice hammer, like I'm sorry, that's a bad a glass cannon. That's what's
right.
called.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, all that aside, thank you for just because I had to kind of spend a few more seconds kind of digesting what you did there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna dodge off to the right there.
That's pretty much your only option.
Yes, basically.
And when you do
Now,
that, he can't attack anymore. He can't attack you. So for him
well,
to attack you, he'd have to move closer. So now his attack is is he can't attack you from that range because you dodged
right,
out of it, right?
right,
So
right.
that's another thing to consider. It's good to, you know,
Can can you like if
it's
I
it,
could
it's good to use your dodge to move yourself around combat so you can avoid attacks that way also.
now um I want to I want to do a hypothetical real quick. If we could step away from this for a second.
Sure.
If we imagined a character in it's just a room. It's just a 4x4 room,
Uh-huh.
and there's a character that's literally stuck in the corner, and that character is forced to dodge on something that's in front of him. Is he able? And obviously, he can't move left. He can't move right.
If
Let's
there's
just say
no
he can't,
if there's nowhere to dodge, two. Okay, so he can't use flank to dodge, right? He can't
right,
flank because dodge only moves you one space. So you can't
right.
move. You can't dodge into the space that of another combatant. If there's no space to move, you cannot perform dodge
So
unless you
go ahead.
combine it with another skill called grit that's found in the ranged weapons triad. And what grit is that he's the cowboy. There's cowboys that are shooting each other down and dodging
Mhm.
by not move. You know what I mean? The like bullets flying past them. That's what
Yeah,
grit is. Okay,
right.
so you
I
combine
was
grit with dodge to basically dodge without moving.
I was I was asking more along the lines of like like you see in movies like people kind of do the low dodge. The sword goes high, they go under the sword, and they're on the backside of that person. They kind of dodge through or past the
That would be an
person.
excellent feat.
I was just kind of curious if
Yeah.
that was even an
And
option.
how I
Anyway,
would do that would be to combine dodge and flank together. You combine dodge and
right.
flank, and you can move to the other side of it.
Anyway, enough hypotheticals. Back to the game.
Yeah.
I dodged to the right.
You successfully dodged. So now that bat swarm is going to have to move to get to you. And what he's going to do is he's going to recombine with his friend. So now they're
Well,
size 2 again.
right.
Go
Now,
ahead.
for all the DMs out there, combining, recombining, I guess combining. I mean, the split was a defensive maneuver as a reaction.
Hmm.
Is the combining take up an action or is that a
Just a
reaction?
general action. It's just a move. He's moving into his another similar swarm unit square or space.
Now, just also to clarify, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Uh, I'm sorry. I don't know if anyone really knows this. I'm also a DM, so I'm asking a lot of DM questions now
That's
because
good.
it's just Um, if you could if it's okay, could you reset the board just a couple? So it's like Ivy back in the corner. You have the two guys there, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So you're back in the corner,
right. So what I'm trying to
just for
understand,
demo purposes.
just for demo purposes, right? So literally, we're kind of rewinding it in literally 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I dodge, and then I'm moving. But before we move any pieces, right?
Yeah.
Um, now I'm trying to remember what have any of these one of those bat swarms did attack me though, right? So
Yeah. It was this one.
now if these guys are combining, right? What's the status of the ability to attack? Right, so you
It's
have
still
two hacks.
okay. I see what you're saying. So he's already used all of his things, right?
Yeah,
So
he blew his load.
he can attack his basically he's got an AP and this one's got an AP, right? And so
Right,
like I'm actually using some these things. So they're separate right now.
right,
Now this one spins his, this one moves into his space, gets
yeah.
combined. Now there's only one AP for that swarm for those two swarm units, right? So on the next turn, whenever they reserve AP, this will go
Right.
back together.
It's kind of like two people pulling together the bank accounts at that point.
Right, and that's kind of how you have to sort of see it too.
And
And
I don't mean to bog down the flow of our game here with all these questions, but
no, it's fine.
it's obviously a very cool mechanism that you don't see. I haven't seen this really a lot in any tabletop gaming, and I'm a DM, like I said, so I
I
like
I
you
wanted
know
to. I try to do a lot of really interesting, unique ways of introducing game mechanics, and so like I want when you are fighting a swarm, I want it to feel like a swarm. I don't, and I want that to be the case for all swarm units. I want the players to be like, oh, we're getting swarmed. here's how we have to deal with this strategically because I expect it to act in a certain way. I expect the mechanics to create a certain gameplay, and I have
Right.
to think
Yeah.
about that strategy involved with that gameplay. So when I wrote a lot of
Absolutely.
these rules for different kinds of creatures and whatnot, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about different kinds of gameplay for the the players and the GM to sort of have to deal with.
Right.
But at the same
So
time, it's got to work fluidly. It's got to be smooth. And so the idea of just having that 8P sort of that keeps track of things, right? That keeps track of everything.
absolutely.
So and that's all it really takes. So what we have is this guy. They're all both there, but you're here, and then they switched and is now one.
I will say, I'll give you two pieces of fun feedback here. Just the
This
pure
is great.
fact
This is great. I've been wanting to play with swarms for about 3 months.
it feels very organic because there's an ebb and flow. Like this mass that I'm fighting is expanding and contracting and moving. And then definitely, like if you're fighting like an Umber Hulk or a Troll, right? Obviously, like the idea that he's this big mass that's all muscle and health and
Hmm.
damage. But this thing is just it's a different beast into its own because it's organic, it expands, it contracts, it moves, it dodges, it divides.
Yeah.
Uh, it makes for some really interesting, engaging gameplay. And also, by the way, you kind of blocked it because of my character there, but the paint job you did on that base blends so well in with the current.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it does.
it's seamless. Like I was looking, I was like, wait, what is that like glass?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it should be. I use the same colors for the most part.
Anyway, I've stalled enough. Let's okay, keep going. I apologize.
That's okay. Where are we at? So he moved in that space. That's his
Keep going.
final action because they both. No, wait a second. He can't. Let me think here. I believe that's his final action. Doctor Distracto got me. So
That's me. Yeah, the monkey man.
I feel like he's got one more action.
I think he does, and
He
and the whole
does.
reason why
Then okay.
he
So
does.
then we're gonna bait you. Okay.
All right.
So let's go over how bait works. Bait is a combat utility skill. Let's see here, and that's also under footwork. So come on, bring it up. There we go. Bait removes one stamina from an adjacent recipient if it's successful as a general action. Okay,
Right.
and so uh, the Chiraptor, he's got bait. He's got a 12 bait, and on top of that, he also has Troll. If he performs a double bait check, bait now removes 4 stamina from the recipient. So he's going to do that and overload it.
Well, yeah.
So he's got to roll 3 dice, and he's got to make 2 of them because he's doing the double check for Troll, and then it's going to cost him 2 stamina, which is like nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So that's 14. There we go. And he fails the roll.
Oh man.
So, but that would have been nice to suck 4 stamina out of you.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be brutal. It'd be like sucking my stamina out my ass with a crazy straw. That's how bad it would hurt.
It would have sucked. It's one thing to lose 1 stamina. It's another thing to use a lot. 4 is a lot. So that's because it was so much stamina because um so under here you see here it says under troll it says bait now reduces 4 stamina from the recipient. It's the one
Yeah.
stamina from the bait skill plus 1 for the troll feat and then plus 1 per 4 levels. And he's level 9 in his combat triad.
Right.
So that's +3 right there. So it's 1 plus 3.
Right.
Significant. It's a significant thing, you know?
For sure.
So it's pretty hardcore. So that failed. It's now your turn. So what you gonna do?
So let's go. I'm gonna go back to my character sheet here. I'm popping between full screen video on your end, half screen video with my character sheet
Trying
here.
to get a nice,
Uh,
interesting angle here without.
I like that angle.
I don't know if it's
Um,
gonna work or not. I don't think it's gonna work.
so this is not necessarily to help me win or do anything better, or beat your system here. My player instinct would be basically kind of redo my little flamethrower reaction.
Yeah, you want
Maybe.
to do that again?
Well, I was going to ask you. What really comes down to is that is there something that you'd like for me to try out? Because if
Let's do
not, then
more. Let's try to do. Oh, there's one other thing on that turn.
yeah.
Another single swarm unit appears.
Oh shit.
Sorry. Yeah, they're gonna come every turn.
Oh boy.
Come on now. Go. He's back up in here. He appears. Okay. And that's his first movement. And his second movement, he's gonna fly down here. Actually, no. He's going to. Yeah, he's gonna move right here. No, no. Let's put them all together. We're gonna have a super swarm. Super swarm, size 3. Hey camera, this is what's important right here. This is what's important. Hey camera, use. Hopefully that does it.
Um,
Yay! So now we have a super swarm. Okay, now it's your turn.
So I'm just going to share with you a fun idea that I decided against it. I was looking into the rules here, but looking at some of the spells I had, saw this cool little spell by the name of Heat, and what kind of caught me in that rule book was
Let's look
any
at it.
stone specified in the coverage. This is page 81. If you're pulling it up,
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up.
page 81. Um,
Which one is it? Heat?
yeah, it's about page 81 and Heat, as in my dog is in Heat. And so, of course, the first word that catches my eye is like any
Okay.
stone. Oh my god! Like I'm surrounded. Um, but I think what I see now is that the duration actually, like kind of we were talking about the luxury to wait 2 turns plus one more plus casting. I'll be dead and buried and forgotten before. And not to mention, I don't think necessarily that these bats or these Chiraptors are off the ground. This probably one.
They're not. Yeah, they're not on stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, no, I was sharing a few kind of a fun idea.
Yeah.
Trying to
So
think
basically,
through.
your idea was to heat up the stone and then maybe, but they're flying.
We're gonna put them in the Schwitz. We're gonna be sweltering.
Right.
um, yeah, so I tell you, I think we're gonna go with fire. We're gonna do the flamethrower, but we're gonna do more. So we're gonna really kick this up a notch.
Okay.
'Cause, so
Let's go
okay,
further on and let's do. Okay, so you're gonna start your combined casting action like you did before,
sure.
but now instead of doing that movement that you did before, let's well actually as a free action you can do your concentration check as well, right?
Yes.
So as a free action, so start your casting action. You're reserving 1 AP, okay? And then let's, as a free action, do your concentrate check and see if we can use your, because you have that focused feat, right?
Right. Yes.
And what focused allows you to do, right here, bring it up a little bit. What focus allows you to do is reserve an extra AP.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So let's try that. It's going to cost you 2 stamina.
Okay.
All right.
So
So you just
so
want,
so
but
far from my stamina pool that I've spent already, I'm at this turn I've spent 2 stamina plus what? How many
you're doing
more?
pretty good actually. You're getting some good rolls. Everything's going.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm just keeping track of all of it.
But your concentrate is only an 8. Are you overloading this? You have to do a double check and make 2 8s or low, or lower.
Yeah, I mean, considering that my number's low, and considering that the stakes are getting higher, like I don't want to fuck around with this.
Right.
I think this would be the time. It's like this would be like there was a class teaching when to overload.
It
This is the
might be
time.
time. So are you going to overload once, or
Okay, so I've
that'll be
used
a
seven.
total of 4 stamina.
I've used 7 stamina so far, and before this,
Okay.
and then so that puts me at uh, kind of walking through not just for myself but for anyone here who's following along. All right, that puts me at 27 stamina overall. I've already spent 2 so far. That brings me down to 25. And
Okay.
then if I would overload, that would twice. That would bring me down to 4 stamina for 21. Right?
Yeah, but it also costs you 2 stamina to use that feat,
Yeah, I had 2 for the feet, and then
and then
4
2
for the
for the
overload.
one overload. So 3 die. You're going to roll 3 dice, and you need 2, right?
Yeah. So
Okay. Here we
that
go.
puts me at 8 stamina overall. Right?
4. You've only used, no, to be. How many times you want to overload? One or more?
2 times.
2 times. It'll cost you a total of 6 stamina.
All
Two
right.
2 for overload, 2 for overload, and 2 for feet. So 6 total.
Okay, 6 total. Thank you. Got it.
Okay. So you're gonna roll 4
I'm at 20.
dice, and you make it just barely.
How, I was about
Four,
to say.
4, 8, and 11, 11. It's not
I
a bad
mean,
roll, but
this was the classic moment of when you know when to
okay.
hold them and know when to fold them.
So now you can move around if you want, also because you made your concentrate check, and at the same time you reserved another bonus AP to that casting action. Now, do you want to do your signature arcana?
Can you switch the camera back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Um,
It's so much prettier, I know.
um, so now if I no, there's 2. Is that one giant unit? Is that I'm trying to see? Or okay, that's only one giant,
There's 3 swarm units in that space.
but it's in one space, right?
Yeah.
And how you're gonna have to kind of remind me or guide me through what my min max range on this is, because basically if there's any distance I could put myself between this thing and that thing, I want to be at that distance and still be able to attack
I
it.
see. So, it depends how you're going to do your how you're going to split your AP into your combined casting action. What I'm guessing, or you're going to do, or what I think you should do, is put 1 AP as Gust, make Gust the dominant AP, right? Or dominant arcane effect, and then put 2 AP if you can get another AP out of the signature arcana.
Right.
Um, then put 2 AP for the firebolt, which will get you 2d6 damage,
All right, let's do it that way.
right? Okay, so you're going to do the signature arcana also.
Yeah, and that will cost me 3, right?
It'll cost you 3 more stamina, and you're
All
going to
right.
have to perform a double check. So do you want to overload that?
All right. So mine's at 3. I'm at 18 stamina right now,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna fuck. I mean, the bottom line is, and this is the peril that you play in here is I'm already into this so deep, you know.
You are.
Uh,
So you might
and
as
I
well
like
overload.
I'm gonna overload. I want to say 2 times, but I'm afraid like that puts
Do it.
me in the hole. 2 times. Two
Okay.
times.
There we go.
15 standing up.
And you just make it with a 5. You have a 5,
Oh,
11, 18, and a 19.
oh my! So this was a very important purchase for sure.
Right. So your 11 has to go to your fire spell,
Yeah.
and your 5 has to go to for this to work to the air spell. Okay.
Right.
And so go. And so now the question is, how many AP? You have 3 AP for your combined action. How many do you want to put into Gust? You have to put at least 1 into Gust. And then how many are you going to put into Firebolt?
Well, what would be so? This is I'm still a little fuzzy on this. Like, what would be the theory or the recommendation?
So the so basically, oh shit, let me get. I'm gonna plug this in. I would what I would do is I would do 2 in Firebolt to get the 2d6 damage, because basically here let's take a look at it real quick. Maybe I'll make it more seen. It will make it more. Okay, so here's Firebolt. All right, yeah, Firebolt. Okay, yep, still Firebolt. So for each turn of the duration of this effect, any recipient in the coverage receives 1d6 fire damage plus 1d6 more per 2 casting levels. So at 2 AP, it's going to do 2d6. Okay,
Right.
right? So now Gust, if it had 2 AP, there's Gust over here. If it had 2 AP, it would go from a cone of length 1 plus 1 space per casting level plus base width of 1 space per casting level. So this would go out 3 spaces and then 2 spaces, a cone of 2 spaces wide at the end. So it's a larger effect, right?
Right. So
And
that would kind of
then it doesn't get any bonus in its effect, but
so
its coverage
basically
increases.
right. So my original plan, kind of going off the theory that I don't want to be right next door to this horde or this swarm. I would want to make Gus
Well,
my
think
primary.
think about this also. Okay, so you were not able to kill a single swarm creature, right?
Hit. Yeah.
Uh, with a firebolt 1d6 damage.
Right.
You can possibly with 2d6.
Right.
So you could wipe out that
I did think
entire
that.
swarm right there, possibly, if you did 2 in firebolt and 1 in gust. Now,
So, yes.
that's something to consider. The other thing that you get from uh, gust is the duration. It's going to last 3 turns instead of 2 turns.
So so
I
the
mean, you could go in the long haul here and just like try to. It's up to you.
so if I were to make Gus my primary, I get the range and I get the duration. But
Well,
if I go with
gust you're going to want to be your dominant arcane effect anyways for the duration and for the coverage. That's kind of the whole point. Because if you make
right,
firebolt, so here's what would happen. Excuse me. If you make a firebolt, so here's what would happen if you make firebolt the dominant arcane effect. A bolt of fire would fly towards this thing and then deal damage, right,
yeah,
to one of the swarm units. It's not an area of effect.
right,
Okay, so it's only going to deal damage to one of the swarm units, and then that swarm unit would get a minus to its reaction because of the gust effect.
Right.
But as the gust is a dominant arcane effect, that's what's creating this fan-like effect, right?
Yeah.
And that's so that you want it to be your dominant arcane effect, so it can do area of effect damage to the swarm. So you definitely want that to be the dominant effect. The real question is, do you want to put 1 AP into Gust or 2 AP in the Gust, or do you want to put that 2 AP into Firebolt and 1 AP in the Gust? My vote, hello?
Yes, I'm thinking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My vote, personally, my vote would be for more damage, because you might be able to just blast these things out of the, just
Yeah.
gone.
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking damage. So I think we'll do the 1 and 2 split with fire having the most.
Okay, so if that's the case, then, and I'm kind of doing this. Okay, so they're going to be able to divide. You made your fire spells check spot on. Okay, so they're going to attempt to divide.
Okay.
They're going to overload. They need 12s, I believe. Okay, and they do manage to divide.
Damn.
It's okay. Your effect is still on. You can try again next turn, right?
Right. Right.
So they divide into 1 and 2.
Now, everything that I spent 12 stamina on this turn, basically pulling this off, just to see it basically become divided. However, next turn, everything that I've invested is still kind of active.
It's still active because you have one more turn of that being active.
Right. So in this case, like, of course it's easy to feel like, ah, damn, like, all that to waste to just for it to kind of flub and go nowhere. But like, no, this you've invested, you still got one more turn left of
Right,
this.
yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, so that's the end of your turn. On their turn, they are just going to recombine right on top of you again and come up to you. And then all 3 of them are going to attack you.
Crap. Now,
You're not
this is where
concentrated anymore, so your fire effect is still effective. Oh, wait a second.
now,
They're not gonna actually they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna recombine because there's fire going in that area, so they can't do
I'm
that.
about to say, like, yeah,
Yeah,
there's a danger zone.
one's gonna come around this side, and one's gonna come around this side.
Okay.
1 unit, 2 units. Okay.
All right.
So it's right now each of them gets a plus 1 step bonus to attack you from your side flanks.
Because of the
You
flanking.
could
Yeah.
you could face one of them, and then one is going to get a 2-step bonus, and then one won't get a bonus, or you can stay like this.
If I turn to face them, does that negate my ability to turn again on my turn?
No.
All right. I'll go ahead and they're both equal sized swarms, right?
Uh, size 1, size 2. So it
I
makes
like
sense
this
to
turn.
face the size 2.
Yes, that's exactly the point of my question. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do the size 1. He gets a plus 2-step bonus, which is a plus 2. He's going to
Right.
roll outright. He needs a 14 or lower. He makes it by 5. You can't dodge because you're not facing him. So it's going to be
Right.
automatic damage.
Right.
It's hard to dodge something that you don't know is coming.
Like,
And he deals
you
3, 4, 6 damage.
missed my joke.
What'd you say?
Said if you said it's hard to dodge something that you don't see coming, I said, yeah, like pregnancy.
Unreal. Unreal. All right. So you take 6 damage though.
Okay, I take 6 damage. And hey, look, unlike last time, this is the first bit of damage that I've had hit me so far.
Come on, focus right here, camera. Hey, camera.
I'm down to 33 health points. But I've burned through a hefty amount of my stamina already.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, so that was that one. And now for the two other ones. One fails, and the other one makes it by one.
Wow. Okay.
So you want to dodge or?
Now, if I dodge in the middle of this effect that I have going on, what does that do?
Well, uh, currently we're assuming that the effect is like at the pointing at the floor or something else, or it's not pointed in any certain direction, right? So
Right.
you can't use that effect. I mean, before it was just pointing off in this direction, you know.
Sure.
So now
But as
it's
far as because I know that a dodge unreadies me or anything, but does that
no, the effect is still active.
okay? So I mean, once it's out there, it's out there.
It's
I
out.
guess.
It's out there. Yeah, it's on your hands
All
right
right.
now. You're just sort of like
Well,
you're
I
kind
like
of
the.
pointing it at them, but it's not doing anything. You can't actually affect them until your turn.
How much did the one guy beat it by?
He only made it by one.
All right, I like that. So let's. I'm gonna dodge, no overload, straight up,
Straight up,
straight up.
you roll a 3. You make it easily. So you have
So
an 11 dodge or a 12 dodge. 11.
left.
So you would have to make roll a 10. You actually rolled a 3. So since I made it by one, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna make a precarious decision. I like to dodge more towards the left.
Hit
Um,
your left or this back this way.
back that way, yeah.
Oh,
Mostly because of
that is precarious.
yeah. Well, yeah, I want to get away from the flanking, and if there's any chance I could hit these guys with my flamethrower right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Um.
Although
Now,
I could pick up the exact same thing if I went to
oh,
the
so
right.
that was their movement and they attack, but now we get to roll. Here we go. Uh, more
Oh, oh,
nope, swarms appear.
more warps,
More swarms. That's right
more
there, and
swarms.
they're gonna move down. They're gonna fall down, and they're gonna flank you. That's their movement. I don't know
Ooh,
why this is so funny to me.
this is good. This is gonna be tough.
It's gonna get tough. It's getting tough now. It's getting tough now.
All right. All right. So let's go ahead and I still got my flamethrower active. You know.
You do. Okay, so now yeah, it is your turn.
Right. I like to point the flamethrower at the
There's okay,
large
so just so you know, 2, 2, 1. So there's a total of 5 units on the board. 1, 2, and 2.
I like to go for the two at my off
Right here.
character side.
He's within your front flank, so it's not going to cost you a turn facing or anything. So that's a good
Okay.
choice. So you're going to go for him first. General action, fire spells, roll. Do you want to overload it at all?
No, what will be the purposes overload just to see if I can hit?
It's just basically to get you a better roll if possible, so that when they try to react, they're reacting against something.
Yeah, it's a two hit roll. Um, I got a lot of thoughts going through my head right now. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
They're going to
That'll
overload.
put up. I'm gonna overload it once. That'll take me down 2 stamina, right?
Yeah. Okay, so you got a 7 and a set and an 18. All right, so you made your fire rolls or fire spells by 4, and that's basically just if this guy wants to react, he's going to have to make his roll by 4, and he's going to try to react. We'll overload. He
That
fails.
reaction. That reaction would be divide, right?
Right, he's going to try to just divide reaction. He fails to divide, and so they're going to take your 2d6 damage.
Hello?
You do 9 damage. This swarm is totally eradicated.
Honest to
Both
God.
units.
Oh,
Both
man.
units. Now I'm guessing you're going to turn your facing and do that guy too.
Yeah, I think that would probably make the most sense.
Okay, another general action to do so, to point those flames at that
Yeah,
swarm. You're going to do that to
yeah,
them too.
yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and overload it
Okay.
for that takes me down to 11 stamina.
All right. So you miss it by 1. So they're going to get a +1 bonus to their divide. Let's see what they roll. They're going to overload. And they fail horribly. And maximum damage, 12 damage. These guys are obliterated.
Nice.
And that's the end of your turn. That's your 2 actions.
Whoa.
Um,
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you right there. I was on a pendulum of. I man, that was a do or die moment because I had a plan B if shit was about to go down.
you only have 1 swarm to deal
I,
with now. So on his
I
turn, he's
know.
going to move up to you, and he's going to do something and as part of his general movement. So let's take a look at this real quick, because this is fun. RPG, here we are. Okay, so some other cool. You big dummy. Talking to myself. Okay, so go all the way down here to swarms. It's constructs. That's for golems, robots and golems. Daggers for giant animals. That's the super animal. Hordes and swarms. There we go. So envelop. Yeah. The creature may perform this skill check once when performing a general action move. If the contest has failed, the swarm may occupy the same space as the recipient as part of their move. While
Ooh.
enveloping a recipient, the swarm may not be the target of the recipient's primary actions. Furthermore, when attacking a swarm that has enveloped a recipient, the recipient may get hit. The recipient must successfully react with a penalty equal to the failure rate or take the full effect of the failed primary action. So basically, if the recipient succeeds in the contest, the swarm will end their move adjacent to the recipient before entering their space. So you're going to get a will save. So they're going to try to envelop you. They have a 12. And they make it by 7. You can roll a will save. Okay. So now they're occupying your same space. Okay.
Hold on. Go back to the game.
Hold on. Yeah. I'll go back
I
to the
didn't
map.
know. Were you talking hypothetically, or did that really happen in the game?
Yeah, he's going to try to envelop you. As a swarm,
Okay,
they're able to do this. So
got
it's one of their skills. So so he's actually occupying the same. Well, you have to roll a will save and make it by 7. Okay, he made his envelop check by 7. You need to make
Oh,
yours will save by 7 also. So your
ooh,
save is you have a 14 willpower.
no, not too bad.
So you
So
got
I
to
have to
roll
use
7, or he's going to
seven.
basically you can't affect him with primary actions.
I will go ahead and roll it straight up.
Just straight up. Okay. So you need a
Straight up.
7 or below. You
Straight
roll a
up, no.
20.
So that's a fail.
That's a fail in this game.
So basically, the bat out like one of these Kyra was going to my mouth.
No. They're swarming around you. You can't. You're not able to attack a single one of them because they're just enveloping you,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind
Protection.
of it's you imagine if this was like a slime. The slime envelops you, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so then for their second action, so that was their first action. For their second action, they're going to perform the disturb skill. When a swarming creature is enveloping a recipient and occupying their space, the creature may attempt to roll a disturb check. If the recipient fails or contests, then all actions performed by that recipient receive a -2 step penalty for 1 turn. Any further attempts to disturb a successfully disturbed recipient will automatically fail, and you get a will save for this also. So now they're going to try to disturb you, and they fail by 3. I should have overloaded because he's got plenty of overload. But I wanted to do that so I could showcase some other abilities of the swarm, right?
Absolutely. No, that's a very frightening concept, actually.
Right. Could you imagine if all 3 move into your space?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely have some post game swarm thoughts for you in a good way. Like,
Oh, good.
yeah, this is good. Keep going.
Okay, so that was into their turn. Your turn. They're currently enveloping you,
Okay,
so
now,
they're not grappling you or anything else. You can move. You can run away from them.
so yeah, I'm gonna spend one general action to move. I guess.
You want to move back,
I
or
want. So the way my character is facing, I want to go back from where he's facing. Yes.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, so
I would like to spend, one action. I don't want to use both my
where are
actions
we
to move.
talking? Like, are we going this way?
No, just
We going
directly
straight back?
straight back. Looks like I
So
got
you
some
get
nice.
1, 2. You can get back here.
Yeah, and then of course I'm going to turn to face him, so that's good.
It
And
does
then,
look like there is a pathway this way, also. Just so you know.
oh, you know what? Yeah, let's just go that way then.
Okay, so you are going to go that way.
I'm going to go that
You're
way,
1, 2. So now you're down in this.
and then I'm going to use my second. I think my second action is to keep going.
Okay. Oh, you're just going to keep going?
Yeah, second action, keep going.
Okay, so you're going to go. There's a pathway up. You're going to go up that way?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. You make it right here. Are you keeping your facing, or your watcher behind you then? You get free facing anytime you perform a general action movement, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine with me. Yeah, that looks good to me.
Okay.
I definitely got my character got a little freaked out, basically getting bats in his hair.
Okay, you're like, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
Okay, so that was your turn. Their turn. Now they have a movement rate of 4. Also on your turn, for free, you can start a casting action right now.
I was literally about to say I forgot to reserve an AP. I'm going to reserve an AP.
You can do that right now, no problem. Yeah.
I'm going to
You can't
declare.
cast it. You can't cast it. You can't
Yeah,
perform a primary action, but you can reserve. Every turn you get 1 AP to reserve to a primary action for free. Okay.
I'm going to declare that it's being reserved towards Gust.
Gust, or combined, or Gust.
I guess it'd be combined.
Okay, so you're going to do another combined casting action.
Yeah.
It's working for you, so you might as well. So now you're only 1 AP up. So let's see what happens here. So, well, here's the thing. He's only got a movement rate of 4. That would be. He can go up 1, 2, 3, 4.
Definitely good enough. Good enough for
So that's his first action. So now he's going to. If he went around, he wouldn't have been able to get to you all the way. Since he can fly, he was able to manage to get over to you.
Yep.
That was nice. And so he's going to spend his other action. He's going to try to attack you.
Okay.
And he's going to overload 1 die. And he makes it by 1.
I'm going to react. No overload.
Okay, but if you react, you're going to lose your AP.
Oh, you're right.
So,
I'm going to take
you can do your aggressive evasion and spend 3 stamina to keep that AP.
I'm going to take it.
You're going to do what?
I'm going to take the damage.
You're just going to take the damage and try to concentrate out of it?
Correct.
Okay, taking the damage. Well, max damage of 8.
Fuck. So I take that damage. I'm down to 25 health
Yep.
points.
So now to concentrate as a free action, you'd have to roll a 6 because you got a 2-step penalty because of damage taken.
Yeah.
So you have to roll 6 or below.
Ooh.
What you gonna do? One die,
Just
straight up. You gonna overload too?
I'm gonna walk you through my. Well, hold on.
Well, first off,
Well,
you'd have to turn your facing.
yeah. I'm gonna walk you through my thought process here, right? So at first, I was thinking to myself, I have 11 stamina. I have more health than stamina, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the odds. I'm gonna be okay. You know what? I can take a hit. I won't die. I can take a hit and be okay. I want to preserve my stamina, and I want to preserve my action point. Because I didn't
Yeah.
want to dodge out of my action point.
Right.
But then I forgot something I said at the beginning of this entire video, which was concentrate is going to be the sticky wicket because it's a necessary thing, but it's kind of low.
It's
And if I
pretty
don't
obvious as this character develops, where those points are going to go. Concentrate is going to be a major part of this character's development.
to develop and to maintain and to be a good
Yeah, to be
character.
effective, to continue to be effective. Otherwise, your job is to basically, I mean, not all mages or wizards or whatever are going to need concentrate because they're relying on their friends
Right.
to be
And
the meat shield. And,
so
so they're not going to need it as much, really. But it's good that
so
he's got it because this is a situation you could find yourself in as a wizard.
so now I forgot essentially that I have that concentrate issue. Now, alternatively, right? I could either let go, and the odds are kind of low on that 6 or lower, or I could overload it for 2 stamina, or and I could spend 2 stamina later to use my focused feat to
To get it
try
back.
and to get this back, right? The
Yeah.
problem is focus feat is 2 checks. Is 2 checks.
Yeah.
So
Either way. Yeah.
right. So I could take my low odds. I could spend my stamina to improve my odds now, or I could spend stamina next turn to get my action.
It's a gamble. What you gonna do?
I think I'm gonna. I think the maximum, the best strategy is I'm gonna go straight up now. Hope
Okay.
it, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll just spend the stamina I have to get it. So straight up, please.
Straight up. Doing straight up.
Straight up.
Okay.
Was that analysis pretty sound of what was going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, for sure. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. You said straight up,
Straight up, no overload.
no overload. Okay, so I rolled too many dice. It's a good thing. I'm gonna have to re-roll because that was a 19 and a 20.
Oh, oh,
You got kind of lucky there. So now we're gonna roll one, right?
yeah, please.
A 6.
Damn,
A
damn.
6. I'm still holding the same way. A6.
That's crazy.
I didn't.
My rolls are a lot better this time around. That's for sure.
They
I've been
are.
rolling,
Honestly, it's working out for you a little bit better. Okay.
yeah,
So you still have your AP,
which is incredible.
right? Yeah. So here's my. Okay, you're doing that combined casting action again. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's the end of their turn. Your turn now. He's kind of blocking your exit.
All right, I have one AP.
You have one AP.
I just got
You can
another.
reserve one more AP this turn for free. That's going to cost you 1 stamina also because you're casting action.
So I'm going to do that. I'm now down to 10 stamina.
Okay.
And then I think I think I'm trying to be very guarded with my stamina. I'm gonna go ahead and let this roll. I'm gonna go 1 and 1 gust, one fire.
Just straight up.
Uh,
Okay. Are you going to overload it all?
Hold on. Because I know that the straight up fire damage 1d6 is not enough to kill one of these swarms, right?
Right. Yeah, but you're going to get it for 2 turns.
That's true. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's just because I don't want to spend any more time than I have to right now. I got this for free. I got really lucky with my last couple of rolls. I'm just gonna use. I'm gonna keep riding this train. Uh,
You straight up roll?
Straight up roll, no overload.
No
One and
overload.
one.
Here we go. And close but no cigar. 8 and a 14. So that roll is a fail.
So now, to clarify, this effect was not successful. It will not be successful. It does not continue after this turn.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
So now your APs are all used also. So you're back down to 0 APs.
Yes, yes, yes. Um,
For your second action? Here was another. Hello?
yeah, I'm thinking. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So here's another option. So what it would have been nice last time is if you didn't do gust, for instance, right? If you didn't reserve an AP to a gust combined gust firebolt primary action, you could have just did straight up firebolt, okay? And then on your next turn, you would have had two before reserving that AP. First, you would use one action to cast that firebolt, and then
Mhm.
reserve an AP to another casting action. You have that second action, and do a second primary action and cast another firebolt. You gotta do
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Or you could have did just a straight up firebolt, 2d6 firebolt at them, and then have one action also available to continue on. I mean, there's tons of options here that you could have taken, but you were going through the same. You're thinking along the same lines of, well, it's worked for me before. Let's just keep going with it.
Yeah, I definitely fell right into that trap of complacency.
Yeah, but that would have
Um,
gave it just going just for firebolt damage wise, because there's only one of them right now. You know,
right,
so you
right.
might as well just go straight. I mean, you don't need that area of effect damage anymore. So it's really like that's the kind of gameplay that I'm talking about. That I want the different creatures to sort of provide is for you to keep you on your toes in that respect.
Oh yeah, for sure. And this is definitely a live and learn process. Now that I kind of know that that's an option. Like I could have saved one towards Fireball, and then I could have then put the other one in a different category altogether. So
Yeah.
that way, it's like if the Fireball didn't work, then I'm going to do this.
Right. Yeah.
Just right, diversify my assets. Needless to say, um, well, I think are you able to kind of pan the camera a little bit to the right? Like, if is there okay, if there's a way, is there a way for me to use my action to get on top of that ledge? That's off to
Oh,
my
over here
slightly
or
next to that
right
one.
here.
Correct.
That would be a single climb check. That's
Let's
part of your
try it.
movement.
My climbing isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not. You want to go for it?
Yeah, my Constitution I believe is 14.
14
We
or
did this earlier.
13?
A 13. Thank you. 13.
Well, 13. You rolled an 8 and an 18, and so you just go to pull yourself up, and you can't get yourself up
Sure.
as you're
Okay.
trying
I
to
saw that.
scramble over that way. You can perform another general action if you want.
General action would be like a movement.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Do
Yeah,
you
that would.
do you have any more? Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
I attacked and then I moved, or I
Right. Yeah.
climbed.
So
Right.
that's where you're at. You're just
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Come at me, brah.
Okay. So that's your turn. Their turn. He is going to try to flank you again, and what's the roll? Is it a 12 or is it an 11? Is it an 11 or is it a 12? It's a Chiraptor. Ba, 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 ba. I gotta look down here. Hits a 12. He makes it spot on. And you can, I forget what you can contest with. Oh wait, it tells you what you can contest with. You can't contest. Can't contest flank. He flanks you. You're gonna have to
Oh,
spend this. You're gonna have to spend stamina to. Let's see how much stamina. Flanka, flanka, flanka. Super flanka. Here we are, flank. You're gonna have to spend 2 stamina to turn your facing
okay.
if you want to turn your facing. And actually, he's got the flankster feat, but I think he has it. Flank recipient must spend +3 more stamina. So yeah, uh,
It'd be 5.
5 stamina to turn your facing.
No, I have 25 health and 10 stamina. I'd rather take the health.
Okay,
I know that's a gamble for sure.
right, for sure, yeah. Yeah, these guys are serious flanksters.
Yeah,
Okay, here we go.
right.
I'm sorry, I'm rolling. Would you like 2d20 for your damage, or?
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh wait
oh,
a second, I haven't even rolled yet. Okay, so there. I'm sorry, I'm getting lost here. So they roll to attack. They make it just. They barely make it. Now they're gonna roll damage, and it's a maximum 8 damage.
okay. 8 damage
Things are
then. Got it.
nasty, nasty little.
They
You can
are.
see why I was considering dropping their damage mod off of swarm
Yeah.
creatures, because
Well, I've got some good thoughts for you on this after we get post game
okay,
here.
yeah, sure. So that's the damage. That's their turn. Your turn. I'm guessing you're
Turn
turning your
around.
facing.
Yep. All right. I think this is what's gonna have to happen. Let me do some math on this.
Okay.
We're gonna I'm gonna try and I'm pulling up stuff here.
Here's. I can tell you what I would do.
Firebolt, right?
Firebolt with focused.
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna do. I wanna do I'm not gonna bother let's just do that. No need to explain it.
Right. Yeah.
Firebolt with focus. And that will set me back
So first, let's do. So you're going to start Firebolt as a casting action, and now we're going to
okay,
do your concentrate check. You have to do a double check with 2 stamina to get your bonus AP. So
okay.
you're going to have to roll 2 8s or below, or you're going to overload
We'll overload one time.
1 time.
I'm down to 6 stamina.
Okay. Good roll. A 5 and a 2. So you make it by 6. You take the higher of the
My
2 rolls. I'm sorry.
my my
It was an 18, a 2, and a 5. So I'm assuming you're going to omit the 18 for the overload, right?
my fire's an 11.
And then yeah. And then you always
Oh
take
my
the
god.
higher of the 2 rolls whenever you do a double check or triple check or the highest roll. That highest roll is a 5. So that means you made your check by 6 because your fire spells is an 11.
Well, I'm sorry. My fire's an 11. My concentrate is an 8. For focus, my associated skills concentrate.
Oh, that's right. We were doing focus. Yeah.
Focus.
Okay, I wasn't focused.
Yeah.
So you make it by 3. It's either way. You get your bonus AP, and so now you're gonna perform your casting action, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do
1
2
overload.
AP fireball. You know the guy at McDonald's like, you want a supersize that?
Would
Like
you like to
I
supersize that roll?
I mean I didn't, but now of course I do. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and do
Okay. It's good you did that because you rolled a 10 and a 16.
it. Ooh, yeah, I needed that.
He can't react because he doesn't have more than 1 swarm unit in his space, so he can't divide.
Yeah,
So he's going to
right.
take the full brunt of 2d6 damage,
Oh
and
yes.
as long
And
as
one and
you
one.
do
Hey guys.
the exact amount of damage of 8, he is dead. Eliminated.
I tell, I tell you what, one of this guy's fucking characteristics needs to be lucky. Clutch.
That's right.
Oh! puckered. I am puckered to the max.
Do you like combat in this game?
I do. I don't know if there's. If I'm assuming that's more because you weren't throwing extra swarms at me. But I will say there is some really there's some beauty to the fact that you can take something as um, pedestrian or as inane as a bat swarm, right? Which a lot of people wouldn't really think twice about in terms of being like a big boss or a big like
Right,
obstacle to overcome, right?
right.
But there is something that is kind of nice and elegant and beautiful about your ability in this game to take something like that and turn it into a basically a 3 hour encounter, which
Well,
is
it
what
was
we
three
did.
hours because we're explaining stuff and going little by
Right,
little,
yeah,
but
yeah. Um, so
we're trying to. I'm trying to take the time now to explain it, so when people go and watch it, or I tell people to go watch it if they're interested
yeah,
in learning the game, then
right.
when we actually do a demo game, or whatever, I'm not spending forever to explain every little detail,
So so number one, I think you used the perfect amount of swarms for this guy. I don't know if that was planned or if that was just random,
Random.
but
It was random.
wow, yeah, I tell you, if there was one more swarm, I would be screwed. Because the one thing that I found out was that divide ability is both a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
It prevents having this massive stack of damage in one spot. But when you're dealing with a glass cannon class of this guy, who's gonna dump a lot of stamina, do a lot of damage in one spot, you know. Um, so if I have like three different guys around me, suddenly I'm like, okay, that's seven stamina in that spot. There's seven stamina in that spot.
Hmm.
Like I'm just using all the stamina just to flick away these little nodes.
Right.
So I don't know if that was poor strategy on my part, uh, or just but just that, like I said, that expanding the contraction of the swarms, it makes it a real ball buster when it comes to stamina.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, you got to
I
understand
think
is that you're having to spend so much extra stamina because you are also by yourself. If
right,
you had a whole team
right.
with you, that encounter would have been nothing. You would have spent nothing for your stamina. But that's supposed to
Well,
be
yeah,
meant to be a serious encounter for you, well rested, and also as like a test to see. You were able to take on quite a bit. So you can see the fire mage is straight up. It's glass cannon, high damage output, but you
but
know,
fragile.
but fragile
So
also.
for your stats, I wound up with 17 health and 4 stamina left. I mean,
Nice.
I burned everything almost, And I have to admit, I wasn't even keeping track of my reagents. I don't think I went over my reagent count, but I definitely don't have that much more left. How about that?
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I think as far as a balanced encounter goes, this is pretty well balanced for
There's a couple other things that's interesting to mention about spell casting too. Say you, for instance, the resin, the tar. I'm sorry, the tar that's used in Firebolt.
mhm.
What if you were to go to some, legendary mountain, right? That and then find some tar pool in that legendary mountain that had,
Yeah,
then that component is considered um that that component is considered to be
higher quality.
higher quality or more rare, or there's a
Yeah,
rarity to components, and
right.
therefore when you use more rare components, you get bonus AP in the casting action. So, for instance, let me shoot here. Disciplines of Magic, practicing Arcana, arcane characteristics, casting actions, arcane components and foci. Okay, so material components right here. So for a simple component, you get plus 0 AP. But for like a common component or even a rare, say it was a rare component, every time if you were to cast fire firebolt with that rare component, you get plus 4 AP to your casting action.
Right.
right? Which is significant. The other thing is if you have an item that has firebolt in it, imbued in it, if it say has so that's a focus component. Uh, uh, any arcane effect bound to a relic, artifact, or other item may be used as a focus to cast that specific arcane effect if it requires a charge to activate normally. When performing a casting action for an arcane effect, which has the same arcane effect bound to an item, the resulting casting level is benefited. The casting action is success. If the casting action is successful, the caster may activate the bound arcana as part of the casting action. The casting level of the bound arcane effect is then added to the casting level of the successful casting action at a cost of 1 charge. So basically, you have a wand of firebolts, right?
Right.
And the idea here is that you are casting firebolt using that wand as a focus component, right?
Right. Right.
And when you hit the charge for that wand, or whatever it is, if it's spoken or whatever, as you're casting, then whatever AP in your casting action is added to whatever AP is in that focus, and that is what comes out, right? So you can actually use
Right.
magical items to increase the effectiveness of your spells too. So there's material
Right.
components can bring that up, and your items, your magical items can increase that effect as well if it's a charged item. If it's something that's just always on, it's not going to work. But if you have to expend a charge, then you can use that charge to increase your effects as well.
Right.
So
Right. Absolutely.
so that was a fun.
I,
This was fun. It was fun to see spellcasting and get spellcasting out there, so a lot of the people that are interested can sort of see how that works. It's not difficult at all. It's not like other systems. It's just a matter of knowing your spells. It's just more to know.
yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yes. And I think the still slightly fuzzy on the combining spells, but it's making sense, right? I
it's.
think
I mean,
there's
it's the
some of
same
the
thing as any kind of combo. So like if you were to
right,
combo knockdown with a weapon attack, it's the same thing basically. You're still doing. You're rolling 2 dice. You're picking which die goes where, in the rolls,
right,
in the
right,
combo. And that's
right,
that part. The other part is just knowing that you can split your AP up amongst, both spells. You just got to decide which is which. And the last thing about combining is
right,
it's as simple as this. You take the effect from one and you add it to another spell. That's all you're doing. So the other
right,
spell has a duration, coverage, effect, and all these other things. You're just taking that effect and just throwing that on, you know. All the
right,
spells are written with with combining it in mind, you know. So you just
right.
follow whatever the effect says, and that's what you're gonna get. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that if the range of both, so say you have firebolt and you have I don't know
Yes.
something that imbues yourself, that you have a range
Right,
of self. So you have
right,
firebolt, which has a range of space, however many spaces per level per triad
right,
level, and you have another spell effect that has a range effect of self. You
right.
cannot combine those unless there's no sense. You can't do it because first off,
Right.
you don't want to cause fire damage to yourself because
Sure.
basically, while you are within the range of the firebolt, the only thing that firebolt can affect is you because that range of that firebolt has to agree with the range of whatever you're trying to imbue on yourself that has a range of self. That's
So
the only thing.
let me see if I can regurgitate back to you and see how accurate. Okay. Number one, uh, the range has to be similar. Self and self, 5 feet and 5 feet, whatever, right? Because there can't be any discrepancy for the exact reason you just said. It has to make logical
Right.
sense
You
that way.
have to be able
Right?
to so whatever your the minimum casting range is, that's what the maximum casting range is. I'm sorry. Whatever the the maximum casting range is for the one that has the least range, that's your maximum,
Sure.
basically.
The next kind of idea is that you declare your primary, right? So spell A, whatever that is,
You mean
and then
I use the term dominant and subordinate, but yeah,
sorry, yeah. So you declare your dominant. Then the only thing that the subordinate gives you is just the
the
effect.
effect.
That's all. You're not
That's it.
taking the range. You're not taking the duration. You're just
None of it.
taking the effect.
Just the effect.
Okay. So then that means of course, the range you are using is whichever the one you just said, the one that is the least,
Yep.
the one that yeah, the yeah. Anyway, so then that now that I have my two spells, now I'm like, okay, how powerful are these spells going to be? So I could put one in spell A, and I could put two into spell two, and by putting two AP in spell two, it makes it rank two, which means I get more damage, more whatever.
Or whatever. Yeah. More effect.
So yeah, so you
Possible.
kind of think of it. You think of it in. I think of it now in three different phases. So what's your primary? What's your subordinate? What's the correct range based off of min max or whatever, and then how do you want to divide up your points to determine how powerful each spell will be kind of on itself, and then there's the resolution, and then the
That's right.
resolution is ultimately how do they play together based on how you constructed that spell.
Right.
And
Precisely.
that,
Yeah.
of course, and that resolution, of course, is uh, DM interpretation. But I imagine
Yeah.
it's not going to be far off of what the player intended.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
So,
there's every school in Natural One has 15 spells, I think,
right, right,
and there are how many schools? There's 21 schools.
right,
So now each discipline, arcane discipline, only has 3 schools, and you can only combine stuff within that arcane discipline, unless if you go look at the sorcery triad, there's a skill there called Weave Arcana, and it's a free action, and you basically roll it as you're starting to combine casting action, and you can
right.
combine arcane effects from completely different disciplines. So you
Which
can
is insane.
combine, which is then that's a whole nother thing. So now, say you have animancy, some healing, right? And you have
Yeah,
gust.
yeah. Healing wave.
Gust is your only area of effect. So what you do is you combine your healing effect onto your gust, and then you start spraying it on your allies. Now your allies are going to have minuses while that gust is on them, but for every turn that that gust is on them, then they're getting healed by it in an area of effect. So it's just this wild, but you've created this whole other thing. That to me is what sorcery is. It's a more unnatural way of doing arcane effects. Where you're you're using what's naturally around and putting it together and then making something completely wild. You know, uh,
And I know that fifth edition tried to create the wild sorcerer, the wild magic type of sorcerer, and they gave you the players that that one D100 roll chart, and just
mm,
it became as a DM. I DM'd several wild magic magicians, and those are just a pain in the ass because one, like you do it too much, it interrupts the flow of the game. You
right,
do it too little, the players bitch about how you're ignoring the class.
right.
And then I can't tell you how many times I must have rolled the same goddamn D27. It's the same effect, of course. Just it gets kind of like
So
stale.
So I do have
So
plans to introduce wild magic, wild arcane effects into the system. I'm not going to do that for some time. It's going to take
well,
a little bit more, but basically how it's going to work differently, right? So there's going to be 3 schools in the wild magic triad, and there are going to be ways of manipulating spells by combining those things those different spells and magic and powers together, you'll be able to manipulate things, other already existing effects more so, but in completely random ways, basically.
So,
So so
but
yeah, it's going to be really it's going to be proper wild magic because basically combining magic is very similar already to what wild magic is.
well, and that was my exact point. Was you're talking about that feat that basically allows you to do whatever you want with from any of the schools. It's like that is wild.
It's not a feat,
That's
it's
at
a
least.
skill. It's a skill. There and
Sorry,
then
yeah.
furthermore, there's another feat that allows you to ignore the dominant arcane effect. So you take the effect from the secondary or for the subordinate, right? And you map it to the dominant of uh 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 arcane arcana, and then you totally ignore the dominant arcana's effect. So now you have the effect from another spell with the duration and coverage and all the
Well,
contents of the
it
dominant. So it's a whole
it allow
nother
it
yeah
allows you to do that healing wind gust without the
without
actual
the right, and that's what that is. That's
the
a feat
effect
that
of the
allows you to
gust.
take
Yeah.
away the negative effect from one thing, and right, precisely. Yeah,
But I guess my original point was that ability to craft spells and really just because yeah, you always have this perception that sorcerers are
right.
just literally breaking down the actual physical barriers. Like days, like I
I
don't give a
wanted to make
shit about
sure that
the
sorcerers were well represented in the system in that respect.
right. So basically, I mean, and that's such a powerful concept, and that really is getting. That's the first correct step I think in developing wild magic is you can do whatever the fuck you want, but
Right,
consequences, be you just be prepared for the consequences.
right,
So
right.
that's really cool. I think that's such a great improvement on that concept over the standard boilerplate in game in fifth
It'll be
edition
neat.
right
I
now.
can't wait to attack it. It's just a matter of coming up with 45 spells first. You know what I mean? That all do
Yeah,
randomizing effects. There's basically going to be three schools. I've already thought about it. There'll be like the null set, where it's something that basically it'll null magic, which basically voids things out. Or I'm sorry, do I call it null or do I call it void? I think it's called void magic. Void magic, which basically omits things in spells or whatever that that's combined with. Then there's the identity. I'm not going to get into it right now. I got to bring up my notes if I'm really going to talk about it. I don't want to do that right now. But I have plans. There are plans for it. Uh, at this point in time, I'm happy with the number of spells that are in the game, or arcane arcana that's in the game. I recently doubled and rewrote all of them and sort of like made sure that they are all in tandem with one another and consistent, especially when considering combining them together. So, if you ever want to have a fun time, just go start looking discipline by discipline and saying, "Oh, that'd be cool to combine that with that. That'd be cool to combine that with that." You start seeing the potential here. But then if you really want to get into it with sorcery, seeing spells from one discipline combined with magic from another discipline is just going to be completely, there's so many options. There's so many options.
yeah, really, and it's kind of one of those things where it's at that player's risk type of thing.
Right. And the whole point, the whole design premise behind this system is create a sandbox that has lots of different things in it that you're able to piece together and build something else. And that's so
Yeah,
like so I the same thing goes with character creation. The same thing goes with how you make poisons and diseases. The same thing goes for when you're spell casting. The whole idea is just here's something that's not doesn't have a whole bunch of components, but it's enough to where if you start combining them in different ways, you have multitude of scenarios come up.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I just want to point this out. I am going to start doing demo day at some point in time here. I will make an announcement about that. Basically, every day, same day of the week or something like that, or alternating. It'll probably be a weekend day. So sorry about that, Justin. I know you're not available on the weekends as often.
You're
Um,
fine.
but I want to make anybody who's interested in demoing, please send me an email at minigrinderstudio dot or at gmail .com. And let me know if you want to join in for a demo. And then head over to my store at mgstudio.myshopify.com. Links in the description to download the beta of Natural One. Pick out your demo character. Let me know what you want to play, and we'll get together and we'll play. Justin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today
Thank
in
you.
another excellent demo. We will be back hopefully next week with another look at a different kind of character, maybe, where we go in depth and take a look at the different demo characters and what is just available to players. So,
All right.
alrighty, thanks everybody, and have a wonderful day.